and welcome to this week's edition of Slade, the Buffyverse Revisited. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James, and I think it's important that we all remember Knight Rider, a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist. Michael Knight, a young loner on a crusade to champion the cause of the innocent, the helpless, the powerless. In a world of criminals who operate above the law, Michael Knight, a lone crusader in a dangerous world, the world of the Knight Rider.
Okay, so how you doing this week, James? What's going on? What's new?
I'm all right. I'm okay. New glasses came in. New glasses.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah. Look at that.
How's that working for you? Are you seeing better?
Yes, seeing better. Little adjustment period in learning how to use the progressive lenses.
Okay.
But we're getting there. It's nice not having to have separate, because as previously mentioned, I went with transition lenses. It's nice not having to worry about sunglasses.
Yeah. See, my only concern about those is I just don't think they would get dark enough for me because I basically have to have a piece of black tape in front of my eyes.
I was worried as well, but they get pretty dark.
Okay.
They do get pretty dark. So, and you can't, it's hard to tell, but there's like a base tint of gray on the lens to begin with before they tint. So it's that activates quicker outside. And it helps it activate like in the car, because a lot of transitions won't activate in the car sometimes.
In the car?
So, in the car, down by the docks. Down by the docks.
When you pack the car?
When I pack the car by the docks.
All right. Well, as if
Oh my God, there's somebody else here.
I'm out. I'm scared.
I gotta go.
He said quit. Well, I'll take things from here.
And I'm back. Okay, so as if anyone didn't know, this is our monthly, although we're a little late, a listener extravaganza episode. This week featuring the lovely Darlene.
Hello,
Welcome,
everyone.
Darlene. Glad to have you.
Glad to see you.
Glad to have you. Glad to have me.
Glad to see you, brother. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And as always on these extravaganza episodes, we will be going over previous week's episodes with, with your comments and whatnot. We're just basically going to be idiots and have fun.
That sounds great. I'm about that.
There's nothing special. Hopefully, in case, people who just listened to this past week's episode that an hour timeline is not dropped yet, but will. The audio quality is absolute shit because after James and I finished recording and I went to transfer things over, as always, from the mixer, it informed me that my micro SD card was corrupt. And so the second episode was just shot. So I had to download the Skype video here and then rip the audio from that, which always sucks massive mammoth balls.
That was not even fun. Yeah.
No. So hopefully, fingers crossed, or this to the fucking mixer. The micro SD card, it said I just needed to format it and blah, blah, blah. So I did. Hopefully it's going to work this time. If not, I may commit Harry Carey.
Wow.
Well, that would be the first time that you committed Harry Carey, so that's a cool.
Yeah, it hasn't been the first and won't be the last.
Won't be the last. That's right.
Oh.
How is it possible that you can commit Harry Carey so many times?
I am immortal.
Do you have inside you the blood of kings?
I do. I have no rival. No man can be my equal.
Should I take you to the future of our world?
You should. You should. I want to see your leaders. I have important shit that they need to We all need a good rap on the beak. Let's put it that way.
They all-
Darlene,
they
how
all-
are
That's
you?
probably true, actually.
How are
Darlene
you
is
doing?
great. I am great. Thank you for asking.
Mhm.
How are both of you? How are you, James?
I'm good. I'm
You're
good.
good. You're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Little bit.
Can't complain.
That's exciting.
A little bit. Little bit. Little bit. Little bit.
And Jeremy, you're good. You're
I'm-
always good.
I'm always good.
That's right.
Let's see. We just saw each other. Was it a week? 2 week? Oh wow, it's the 17th already.
Yeah, like
Okay,
it's been
so
like
it's
2 weeks since I
been a
left.
couple
so
of weeks since you left,
Mhm.
but you were here visiting,
I was.
and with your youngest son, who is 7'11". Um,
It feels that way to me. I don't know
yeah.
about you.
19 is your youngest, and how old is your oldest now?
32?
That means I was 13 when he was born, and he was my first bundle of joy nephew. We were pretty inseparable for a long time.
Jeremy is the ultimate uncle. He's always been.
I tried to be, but
And he does very well at succeeding. They
At-
love you.
at uncling.
At uncling. That's right. But you decided, I think, a while back, that's uncling's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Having of my own. No. I don't.
In every fur animal that makes its way.
Oh, yeah,
me,
fur animals.
will
I have
take care
tons of fur children, but human children, I'm not interested in leaving a legacy. I don't think the world needs any more of my DNA in it.
I don't think that anyone could beat
James-
your legacy.
No. You've left plenty of your DNA on the bathroom towels and socks. No one needs any more.
Not to mention in your ear that time. When you
that
Just
ear
that
in
one
my
time. Just that one time.
that one time. Well, that was the last time I let him get anywhere near my face.
Yeah, that was at band camp at one time.
That was at band camp. Yeah.
I mean, DNA can be left in other parts, but all right.
As long as it's not in my ear, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah, that's why he's got a bad ear to this day.
Consensual.
Right.
You know, like George. You know, like George from It's a Wonderful.
Right.
Oh, you froze.
Oh no, Jeremy, you
Wait
froze.
again. Oh,
You froze.
there you are.
Oh, you're back. You're
That's
back.
never happened before to me.
That has never happened. Yeah, it's like swimmer's ear, basically.
So
or little swimmer's ear if you want to. Whoa! Boom.
I mean, that's
You're
a
fired.
marketing
Okay.
opening.
Goodbye. Thank you.
I want you to collect your shit from your cubicle and get the fuck out of here.
All right.
Out of your
I-
house.
I'm gonna take my microphone with me though. I brought this with me.
I'll take it that day.
Bring that back, security.
Do you guys see me, like my screen blinking? Yeah, I don't know what that's about either.
Yeah.
Oh well,
Like-
it is what it is.
Yeah, that is what it is. So, James, as our general, you're basically the in charge of the big top. So, I always defer to you as our ringleader.
Yes. So let's talk, Darlene. Oh, overall, since this is a rare opportunity we have, because last time we did this, our guest, S-Dub, she's been a Buffy fan. So this is not her first go through with Buffy. It is her first go through with Angel. So I actually would like to just talk in general, you and Jeremy and I, for a few minutes about your overall thoughts on the Buffyverse as a whole, being a first-time viewer.
So I'm going to blow your mind probably a little bit, not Jeremy's as much, but yours, and tell you that I have never been sci-fi, into anything that is nonfiction.
Yeah.
Ever.
Okay.
It's something that just like it's something from childhood. It felt like a waste of my time and my space to do anything like that. So watching the podcast and then just wanting to support you guys, I thought, I mean, been a few decades I've been here. I'll give it a shot. You guys seem to really like it. And so I wasn't expecting to like it. Just gonna be honest. I wasn't expecting to like it. I wasn't. Just my brain just tends to be very, I guess, academic. And so, but the more and more I watched it, the more and more that I have loved it. And it's an Angel. I don't want to be discriminatory to Buffy, but I am loving Angel more than I expected. And in a way, it does feel a little bit like I'm being a little disloyal to Buffy. But
Well,
there's dynamics about Angel that I really, really like that are so different. And as we talk about, first of all, I'll Remember You.
oh, so you did get caught up.
I did. Oh, yes, of course. I wouldn't be here if I didn't get caught up.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that to you guys.
That's what I'm thinking, but I
wouldn't
just
do that to
remember
you
when
guys.
you were here, we were talking, and yeah, you were like, "Don't tell me anything. No, don't spoil anything." And I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, not
I
caught
got
up."
to see it.
So,
Yeah, I haven't got to see it.
yeah.
So, but I liked I'll Remember You for a lot of reasons, but specifically because there was no high school stuff. And I know that you guys kind of gave me a little bit of a spoiler about a potential watcher at some point in Angel. But
Maybe.
I'm not missing that in Angel at this point. Now, it might be something that I completely change my mind about, and I really like it, just depending on how it goes and all the different dynamics of that. But I'm in love with it. Yeah, I mean, I have merch.
Yeah, she does.
I have merch, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I think in the beginning, I watched the episode, and then I would watch your guys' podcast about the episode. So the notes were getting just copious because I would take notes while I was watching it. And then I would take notes while I was watching the podcast so that I could then comment on what you guys said. And it was just crazy. And so what I've done at this point is sometimes I will try to watch the episode and still listen to the podcast, but not really comment on what you guys are saying. Just go with what I've already put.
Right.
Which really has lessened the amount of work a lot. I said, you guys know, don't you? I know, because yours is probably 10 times that amount. But I do. I mean, I love watching it. And what happens is I'll write my notes and I'll watch your podcast and I'll be like, yeah, that's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
or I'll be talking because sometimes you'll ask each other questions because you don't exactly remember a detail from having watched it however long ago you watched, because I don't know how close you guys watch it, but I'll have literally just watched it that day or the day before, and I'll be like, this is what it was. This is the answer. This is the answer. So I'm talking to the screen. But in a long way of answering a very simple question is that I love it. And it's a whole new world for me that it's helping me understand everyone, even including my older sons, who are all into that sci-fi and the different worlds, Marvel and all those different things, superheroes. I'm really understanding it. I'm really appreciating it. So it's been a learning process for me and a very pleasant one.
You're starting to figure out why people can get so into these fantasy worlds and these fantasy characters and their relationships. So yeah, I know what you're saying.
And I'm finally able to understand. So my brain before Buffy, my brain was, this is reality and this is what we deal with. And now it's, this is kind of nice to not think about reality for a little bit. But it's hard to suspend reality because you're wanting to really connect with these characters and see, okay, well, in a real life world, what would have made her do this or him not do that or something like that. And so I'm really loving it. I'm loving it because I love human behavior and all of that.
Oh yeah.
So thank you guys.
And I think that is part of the appeal of this universe in particular, and others, but the Buffyverse in particular, I do feel has a good handle on human interaction, and
That's definitely one of Joss Whedon's. He who shall not be named.
for being an awful lack of a human being, he understands human interaction.
He really
very
does.
well.
He really
does.
does it
He
very
does.
well.
But
I would maybe venture to say it's one of his few good character traits, but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
But I do think
many people.
But I do think that's part of the appeal of the Buffyverse is the way they do handle human interaction, and the way that, even though it is sci-fi or fantasy or however you want to categorize it, there is an element of recognition to what the characters are going through. If you take away those
you can take all that stuff away. Like, yeah, exactly. And it's still, at its core, it's still just character studies. And the dialogue, the humor, the dark humor, all of it's that's what gripped me from the beginning.
I imagine that goes back to human beings writing these things. And
right. Right. It's hard to get vampires on a writing staff.
Well,
unless you have it at night underground.
Yeah, third shift. Yeah,
Maybe.
Right, but I mean, Hollywood is pretty much a 9 to 5 thing. So,
but there's a lot of blood-sucking vampires in Hollywood.
there is. But I think that's the appeal of a lot of things in these kind of genres, even Star Wars or the Marvel stuff for DC. When you peel back the fantastical elements of it, if the story being told is solid enough, it's going to draw you in, the human element of it. And I always say that a really good example of that in the last few years was Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
If you take away the Batman and Joker equation of it, like, that's just a really good, like, crime thriller.
Yeah.
Like in the vein of Heat or The French Connection or things like that. So yeah, I think if the story being told is there and the writers are good enough, you're always going to see through those fantastical elements to the human aspect of it, and you're going to be drawn to that and hopefully enjoy it.
I would take it a step further and even say that a lot of times that's what makes some of these big movies not good, is when you peel back all the layers of the onion and you peel back this incredible CGI and the fantastic, if the underlying character study and the interactions and things are not there, or they're very weak, the movie's just not good.
Yeah, there's no substance or anything to really relate with as a human being in certain aspects. So.
I've actually got a very excellent recent example of that very thing. It's Ridley Scott's new Napoleon biopic.
I haven't gotten to see it yet.
I haven't either.
I know that they make a lot of historical, just flat out screw ups or just rewrite shit how they want it to be. I know that much.
Right. But aside from that, like, the movie is beautifully shot. Like, there's big, beautiful set pieces. I mean, it's Ridley Scott.
That's what he's not.
But there's no, it's very disjointed. There's no through story that connects everything. And it seemed to me that they tried to make his relationship with Josephine that connective through story, through all these big set pieces, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, which it was in real life. That was his connection to the world, was Josephine.
Right.
But
I don't know that, and I haven't seen it, but I can see how that would disjoint it a lot, because that love story isn't playing through everything in his life and all the different aspects of his life, and so it would be just like, this doesn't make a lot of sense here. So I can see it completely.
And unfortunately, that happens a lot. I mean, I don't want to harp on it. I know I've talked about it on here before, but the three, I'm spoiler alert. I'm a huge Star Wars.
Oh my God, is this going to be the Star Wars sequels again?
Yes, and the Star Wars sequels were horrible, horrible for this, not for just this reason, but for mainly this reason. There was no heart in any of them. Like, think of the first trilogy, the original 3 movies. I mean, it was nothing but heart, and and all these characters and everything. And these 3 new ones, it was just like throwaway, nobody, like, they would start something, a thread, and then it literally would just go poof, and you would never see it about it or hear about it again. And I don't know.
I mean, I've heard from both camps on that too. So there's a large camp that agrees with that completely.
Oh, there is. And I fall on the other side. Like, I like the sequel trilogy.
And it's okay to be wrong, as we've stated before.
Now that being said, I do acknowledge there's problems with the sequel trilogy. And I do think a lot of those problems stem from the fact that they tried to course correct literally like in the middle of making the trilogy.
Well,
so
yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with they realized, because they gave Rian Johnson the second movie, and he literally shit all over J.J. Abrams and everything J.J. tried to set up in the first movie. Literally, he just shit all over it and was like, ha, I fucking destroyed all that. Now what are you going to do? It was just like, what are you doing?
Right.
What? I don't know. We're not going to get into this. Is a Buffy show, but I'm just saying those are the kind of things that make, to me, can take a beautiful movie like what you're talking about with Napoleon, and then it's over, and you're like, ugh.
And to both my point and your point, Adam Driver recently said in an interview, he basically confirmed that Kylo's overall arc changed from like he was never intended to have like that redemption.
Nope.
Like
I just read that yesterday or the day before. That's recent, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Kylo was originally supposed to be like the antithesis to Anakin, where Anakin kind of had redemption by the end,
right?
But Kylo was going to be full on like dark side, no redemption, and they ended up changing that, as production.
Rian Johnson changed it, and then J.J. was like, "Fuck me, I've got to fix this steaming turd now."
Right. So. But regardless of who changed it, the fact is it changed.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying that Rian Johnson should be shot with a dull bullet. That's all I'm saying.
All I'm saying is that yes, it's the problems are reflective of the fact that there were changes made midway through trying to complete,
and that's almost never
a good idea.
No. It's the same.
Have a clear vision of where you want to start, where you want the middle, and how you want it to end.
Right. I mean, whether it's a standalone project or a trilogy like that, but it all applies. Yep. So yeah, anytime that was I liked the Han Solo movie, and I know I'm in a small camp of that too.
I didn't hate
But that's another one where I think that the problems with the movie stemmed from the fact that they changed directors midway through production.
Yeah, well, I'll just say this, and then I'll leave it alone. And that is that since Disney the reason this never happened before is because there was one chief, and the rest were Indians, and that was George Lucas.
Right.
When he sold it to Disney, now there are so many grubby little meat hooks in the cooking in the crock pot, all wanting to get their little ideas in, and all wanting to, well, let's do that. And then on screen, it's like someone threw up. It's just a big mess of shit. Right. Whereas before, George Lucas was like, no, this is my vision. This is what we're doing, and love it or hate it, this is what it's going to be from the beginning, the middle, and the end. And now there's so many cooks in the kitchen, and frankly, a lot of them have no business being in the kitchen to start with. But
as a Star Wars fan, I think we can agree that the best course for them for the future would be to give Dave Filoni kind of like the Kevin Feige role.
Well, that's basically what they've been doing since the the sequel trilogy, yes, it made money. It made a lot of money, but it's still considered within the Star Wars deal. It's considered a huge flop, a huge miss. They didn't make near the kind of money the previous 6 movies made, and they realized that. And that's when they brought in. Well, that's when they promoted Dave Filoni and they brought in Jon Favreau as kind of the overlook. Those two right there have been doing all the great stuff.
Oh yeah,
that's been going on with Star Wars since then. And I know that Filoni just got promoted again. But yeah, I agree 100%. Those two, because Dave Filoni was literally trained at the knee of George Lucas by George Lucas from when he was in his 20s. And so he knows this better than anyone else. And yeah, and Favreau's just a massive fucking fan, and he knows how shit should be. But anyway, holy fuck.
Anyway, let's pull it back to the Buffyverse.
Yes.
And I'm going to touch on real quick something you said, Darlene, when you were talking about what?
Don't you touch on me?
He said Darlene.
Oh, don't you touch my sister.
Hands off. Hands off.
Okay.
Hands off. You mentioned that liking Angel more than Buffy kind of feels like a little bit of a betrayal to Buffy.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, and I think Jeremy agrees, I felt the same way with the when
I've said it on here before. I think I kind of like Angel just a little bit more than Buffy.
I'm thankful that Buffy existed, or else Angel wouldn't exist.
Right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, James.
No, I was going to say, I remember way back when Angel first spun off, being way more into Angel than I was Buffy, and almost feeling guilty about it. Like this doesn't seem right. Like this is the flagship show. This is what started it all. I love this show, but man, this is so much better to me.
Yeah, and the scary thing is it gets so fucking good. Angel,
right.
I mean,
and
I so damn good
at all. I'm totally looking forward to that.
And I do think part of that is something else you touched on, Darlene, in that it's removed from the high school element, and even now with Buffy season 4, the college element, like we're still in this universe, but now we're in a more adult version of that universe, so things can be a little bit darker. For having been an older Buffy fan, as Jeremy was, it was a little bit harder to relate to the high school stuff because, we were kind of removed from that those goings-ons. But now we're in an adult world, an adult playground, so to speak. So it's easier to identify with some of those things that are happening.
And maybe at my age, I'm mature, but maybe at my age and being a first-time viewer, that's also a contributing factor to why the high school stuff is just like the high school stuff. But now in Angel, we can get into the really nitty-gritty emotions and the darkness, really, that's involved with all that stuff. So I think, and there's a lot of things about Angel that I really like. I love Cordy, I love Doyle, and I love Angel. I think they all play off each other really well. And I know, spoiler.
How much do you love Doyle?
I know Doyle is going to be there forever. But at the moment, he's still there, and I really like how they're all playing off of each other. I love that dynamic. I didn't think so when I first heard that those were the 3 that were going to be in Angel together. I was like, I don't know about that, but I love it.
If you think that dynamic is good, being dead serious, wait until the mid-season point. Well, by the end of this season, you will have fully digested the new trilogy, and you will be like, oh wow, because in my Go ahead.
And I think by the end of the first season, haven't we added a fourth? Or does that not happen until second season?
I think that's the beginning of the next season. You're talking about Bald Guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the beginning of. Huh.
You might be right. I think it might be. I might be into season 2. I might be jumping
anyway,
the gun.
The dynamic. Oh, this show just gets so fucking good.
And I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying Angel so far, because honestly, as much as I hate to say this, and I have said it several times on the pod, doing this rewatch of the first season has been a little rough, because until recently, because there have been some episodes that, like, I remembered being like really good when I first watched the show.
Let's not forget floating hands choking a motherfucker.
And then going back to this, and then going back.
I have a question for you. Did you think the first time that you watched Falling Apart was a great episode? Not Falling Apart. Sorry.
I Fall to Pieces, wasn't it?
I Fall to Pieces.
Yeah.
The floating hands episode.
It was that.
No,
was it?
I
no,
thought
it
it sucked.
with they all went crazy in the police department.
Oh, Sense and Sensitivity.
Oh God, no!
Yeah.
I hated it back then, but I completely forgot about it.
Ooh.
Listen. No, back then, yeah, I thought it was fucking hysterical.
Really?
I thought it was funny and clever and everything. And now, like, rewatching it, I'm like, shit. Like, there's a reason why I don't rewatch Angel that often. At least not.
This is
season one.
At least not season 1 alone, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it's there. I don't know. I said this to someone the other day. I don't know if I hadn't already been a Buffy fan and I came into Angel with the first season, I don't know that I would have made it.
I could see that, because I think that at the first 2 episodes of it, I was kind of like, I don't know. And I think I actually was talking about this, where I was not expecting like Angel at all.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't made any kind of real connection with that character, because he was so much in the peripheral, it felt like, in Buffy. And I thought, okay, but it's really only because of you guys and saying, just hang with it, it'll go better. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And it continuously, it's pretty.
Yeah, it improved quick. It improves quickly, and I promise, like, when this series ends, you will cry, and I don't mean because it's like some horrible ending. It's because you're going to be like, fuck, this is it.
No more.
Because by the end of it, they are hitting on every fucking cylinder plus someone else's cylinders. It's like, this could have gone on for like 5 more seasons, in my opinion.
And why didn't it?
Well, James,
they thought it was. They thought it was going to go for at least 1 more season, and at the very last minute, Joss Whedon got the call that was it CW by that? No, they were on UPN.
No. What happened was, so Angel was always on the bubble from season 1.
Well, yeah,
even though it was a hit. And they typically wouldn't find out until very close to the end of the season if they were getting picked up. So they were going through season 5, and it got to be mid-season. And Joss Whedon went to the CW and was like, are we going to be picked up? And the CW was like, we don't know, we'll let you know. And Joss Whedon was like, no, I need to know now so I can let my cast and crew know, and so we can figure out the rest of the season.
Right.
And the CW said, fine, then you're not getting renewed.
Yeah. And he was like, well, fuck you, bye.
Right.
Yeah.
And the CW didn't renew them, even though was it a hit or was it not a hit?
It was a hit.
Like the ratings.
It was a hit.
If so, for CW standards, it was a hit.
Oh yeah, it had to be the top 3 or 4 of all their shit.
But by all accounts, from everyone behind the scenes, it was literally always on the bubble for being canceled from season to season.
And that would be annoying also, because they're the ones that came to him and said, we want a spinoff. We want another
Right.
We want some more shit in the Buffyverse. And he was like, fuck, double the work. Okay. And then they treated it like a redhead stepchild, even though it was getting the numbers. I mean, you hear every week when we're doing our thing, 3.5, 3.8 million. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
people would murder for those numbers now.
Right.
Like that doesn't fit,
And when you look at it in the rankings of other primetime shows, like, yeah, it's down there. Like Buffy too, is consistently ranking in the 80th and below out of, 130 primetime shows every week. And so is Angel. But they're also both consistently like number 2 and number 3 out of the 15 primetime shows airing on the WB. So yeah, they were both hits for the WB, but for whatever reason, every season they were like, we don't know if we're going to renew Angel this year.
The WB was mismanaged from day fucking one.
Right.
So.
According to so it's the CW now. According to Dave Pedowitz, who was the president of the CW at the time it was sold to Nexstar, he said that the network, even when it was the WB and Buffy and all those shows were on, never made a profit.
Yeah, which I find hard to believe.
Right.
To me, that it made a profit. It was making money. The money was being mismanaged, or it was being. It's a long convoluted thing, but when there's a large corporation like that, money can get shifted around to different places and make certain departments and certain offshoots look like they're not making any money, so.
Well, and I think that's the issue when you have a network like the CW where all of your shows are pretty much produced by other companies.
Right.
Those other companies are seeing the bulk of the profits that are being made.
Sure.
Be it from advertising dollars or whatever, and the CW is seeing very little of any of that money.
But that's what you get by when you just want to be, and that's what they said they wanted. They just wanted to be, basically the service provider. They didn't want to have to deal with production. It's like, well, then you're not going to share in the fucking profits,
right. As opposed to like a NBC who take all of those Law and Orders and Chicago shows and whatnot. Like those are all produced by NBC. So they're seeing huge profits off of all of those.
Well, and the other model that you can do that some networks do is they're like, okay, we're not going to be doing any of the producing or any of that kind of thing, having any of those kind of costs. And so we're going to make less on the back end. However, we are going to require 50% of the commercial time slots. So in other words, if a show has 8-9 commercials during its run, let's just say 8 to make it easy, they're like 4 of those slots are ours. So they get to sell 4 of those slots, and then they get to keep all that money. You see what I'm saying? But the CW and WB, whatever, I just think it was always, probably even to this day, is incredibly mismanaged. Because, I mean, if you have the Warner Brothers catalog at your fucking fingertips and you can't find a way to make money, I don't know what to tell you.
So, I don't mean to interrupt, but I kind of do. So when it wasn't picked up again, what was the excuse for that? So like, what was another show or 2 shows or whatever that decided that was going to take its place? Or
probably Gilmore Girls or something.
No, Gilmore Girls was already on. I'm sure the official reasoning was ratings.
Yeah.
I'm sure officially on the books it was a cost reduction matter. Ratings weren't good enough to warrant it. But the reality of it is that the execs didn't like Joss Whedon being pushy about getting that renewal.
Yeah.
Is what it really came down to.
Yeah. Well, it boils down to executives can't stand to be not, bowed down to and kowtowed to,
Right.
Were there rumblings at this point about Joss Whedon and the work conditions and all that kind of? No, that wasn't even. That couldn't even play a part at this point.
Like what, 5 years ago or so?
Wow. Yeah, I would have to look back. Vividly
around the Me Too movement is when, You know,
I do
Really,
remember.
I thought it was a little earlier than that.
that
Well,
I'm just saying that I recall.
Yeah.
So to what Darlene just said, I will say I remember years ago, prior to the Me Too movement, Charisma Carpenter coming out and talking about her experience with Joss, particularly on Angel.
See, I didn't remember that.
And that was before the Me Too movement.
Well, no, I do remember her coming out about her pregnancy and talking about how kind of rough he made it on her when she was pregnant and stuff. I do remember that. But I mean, all this other stuff that's come out since then, even SMG being like, I don't want my fucking name attached to this piece of shit. And, you know, the Michelle Trachtenberg stuff.
Right.
Like, I didn't know about any of that stuff.
No, that kind of stuff is fairly recent, but it did kind of start to come out around the time that Charisma was like, he made my life hell just because I got pregnant, and that's why I was written off the show.
You know, but that kind of thing had been done so many fucking times by these assholes in Hollywood to females who would get pregnant that it was just like, oh, he's another one of those, you know, chauvinists. But I had no idea he was at the level of putrosity that he's at.
Well, and his ex-wife, shortly after Charisma kind of started talking about that,
him?
Have you put out
However, she did divorce him, so hey.
Did put out, it was an article in a paper, and it was basically like, Joss is a huge misogynistic piece of shit, making his money off of being a performative feminist. You know,
I never saw any of that.
And she talked about how he had numerous affairs with interns and staffers and whatnot. So, and then like the Me Too movement happened, and it's kind of snowballed from there with him. And like, he wasn't, like Jeremy just touched on, he wasn't allowed to be alone with Michelle Trachtenberg. Like, you know, she's fucking 12 years old. Like, what was going on that he wasn't allowed to be in a room alone with her? You know,
clearly
like,
I don't think anything happened. I think everybody was like, this is creepy and something might happen.
Don't let him be
allowed alone with her, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So
this was well before that. So that was my question. If that was, but clearly there was a pretty large divide between when it was canceled and when this stuff about Joss Whedon came out. So
oh yeah.
But I guess it'll just be a mystery. I was just curious.
It's just unfortunately, in my opinion, I always just chalk it up to it was just on a very mismanaged, shitty network. Like, I think if it had been on, I don't know, Fox, UPN, whatever, I think things might have been very different.
Yeah.
I mean, you could run down a list of the most popular TV shows of the last 20 years, and a good chunk of those TV shows are going to have been on the CW network.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got Buffy, Angel, Gilmore Girls, Dawson's Creek, Supernatural, you know, the list goes on and on. So to have huge hits like that on your network and not be pulling a profit, like you're doing something. Smallville, like of the entire Arrowverse catalog, Arrow, The Flash, Supergirl, you know, to have, you know, extremely popular programs like that on your primetime schedule and not be pulling any kind of profit, like that, you're clearly doing something wrong.
Yeah, that just screams ineptitude to me, you know.
Right. You're making poor deals in licensing these.
Or somebody is embezzling a fuckload of money somewhere, you know.
Right.
Any of the above.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Wow, we have spent a lot of time not talking about Buffy the Vampire. Well, I guess in a roundabout way, we have been talking about Buffy the Vampires, the behind-the-scenes stuff.
It follows the track of the normal podcast.
It does. It really does.
Why don't we go? Which episode are we starting with, James?
We're going to go in order. We're going to start with the initiative, and what I would like is for Darlene, over there to give me your thoughts and opinions on that episode. For Darlene to give me her thoughts and opinions on the initiative. Jeremy and I will interject and bounce back, And when you're done, I will read some comments that were left by other viewers, listeners of that episode, and all three of us can kind of chime in on those comments, see how similar and dissimilar they are to what you have to say, Darlene. All right.
Okay, great. Here I actually have said that I saw that Camden Toy passed away. And I don't know if he joined during or after the season that I'm currently on, or if I just wasn't aware of the characters that he played, because I couldn't put some of them together.
He played several.
He was
up to season 4, where I'm at, like in the middle of 4.
I think his first character is the Prince of Lies, right? Is that the first one he plays?
Doesn't he play one of the gentlemen in Hush?
Oh, you're right. I think he does.
I think he does. Let me see.
I'll have
here.
to go back and look, but I just remember looking through, and they didn't show all of his characters, but some of them in the news article, I was like, I don't think I've seen that one. I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, Hush is only one episode away, and it's to me.
So I still haven't seen it then.
Right. Yeah. So
Okay,
you won't have seen him yet, but he's in a few Buffy episodes and a few Angel episodes as different characters.
So that makes that makes sense then, because I couldn't. I was like, I don't remember seeing that. And I don't remember seeing that, but
so he did. He played one of the gentlemen along with Doug Jones.
Oh, yeah,
plays a gentleman. And Don W. Lewis and Charlie Brumley. I don't recognize those names. Dom DeLuise was one of the gentlemen. He played one of the gentlemen in Hush, and I think that was his first appearance, because he does go on to play the Prince of Lies, which I believe is an angel.
Yep.
And he plays one of the Uber vamps, Turok Han, much later in Buffy, and he plays a demon named Gnarl at one point. So, but I think Hush is his first appearance.
Okay. So that makes sense. And I also sent Jeremy a picture of a very recent Charisma Carpenter, just from the other day.
Yes, you did.
And I haven't seen her in the news. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said she still looks fantastic.
She looks awesome. She's 53. She looks amazing. But it was interesting because she's never in the news. And so it just popped up and I was like, oh my goodness, that was great to see her.
Most of the Buffy cast, honestly, have managed to stay out of the spotlight.
Except Nicholas fucking Brendan.
Except for, when you regularly beat up your significant others, you're probably going to make
and take large quantities of pills and alcohol.
And take large quantities of narcotics, yeah.
And then Allison, our friend Allison.
Dancing with the Stars.
Dancing with the Stars.
Dancing with the Stars, which I don't watch, but I watch her segments replayed back on YouTube.
She made it to the finals. Didn't take home the newly renamed Len Goodman Mirrorball Trophy, but
we all know who really won it.
But she did make it to the finals, so good for her. We all know she watches, so good for you, Allison.
Good going, Allison. Good going.
Good going.
You were our favorite.
Yeah.
We would have voted.
I've always loved her. She's just one of those type of.
She's hard not to.
Exactly. It's like even her characters. I've loved her characters because
It honestly still irks me that it took like 4 episodes into the season of Dancing with the Stars before Buffy was even mentioned.
That might have been something she requested, though. Because of the whole Joss Whedon thing, and she's like, "How about, you guys can mention it, but why don't we wait a few episodes?
let's just bide our time. Let's just see let's see how it goes. I might get kicked off. I might get kicked off in the second episode. Why bring it up? Why bring it up?
True. It could have been the flip side where like her fans were saying something about it, and she was like, "Yeah, why hasn't that been mentioned? Maybe we should mention that." Who knows?
It could be.
Okay, so I have notes obviously on the initiative. Do you want me just to read those, and you guys will just click it?
No, I was thinking. Let me throw my 2 cents in.
Okay.
Interpretive dance.
Yes. No, I was thinking why don't you just kind of look at your notes and just kind of give us in your own words, which are obviously your notes are in your own words anyway, but you know what I mean? Like kind of, you know what I mean? Kind of sum it up and we can have a free flowing back and forth kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of peruse your notes and
also the interpretive dance.
And
no, I would like you to do the interpretive dance because you keep talking about it and I've yet to see it. So, okay.
I'm ready. I'm ready when you are.
So the initiative, which, as you know, for the longest time I kept saying, what is the initiative? I keep hearing it. I love the interpretive dance, by the way. You guys keep mentioning it. I'm like, what is it? What is it? What is it? And this is an episode, and I don't do this often, but this is an episode that I text Jeremy at least twice. Mm-hmm. Paused it and text him because let's just say I was not happy in certain parts of this episode.
We'll just say Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
That's right. So with the cold open, so the cold open, we're talking about the guy sitting at the cafeteria table, and Forrest, who is aptly named, I might say.
Yeah.
Forrest, Riley, and eventually Graham, who really doesn't say much at the table anyway. But all I wrote in that was just, ew. That was such a cringy conversation. The facial expressions, all of it. Now, keeping in mind, I understand it was the 90s.
Almost the 2000s, though, so they only get a little bit of a pass.
But we've come a long ways. We have a long way to go, but we've come a long way. But as a female in general, like even if we hadn't evolved as much as we had, I still would have had that same reaction, which was, oh my God, that's ew. Just the things he was saying. He called her mattressable.
Yeah. Listen, I've said this on the pod before. Like, sometimes it's hard. Like, and I get it. Like, Jeremy says it to me all the time. Like, you kind of got to give him leeway. It's the 90s, things were different. Like, I get it. Things were different. That doesn't mean it was fucking right, man.
Yeah, and I don't recall, and I have had I'll admit it, I've had chauvinist moments, and I'm sure I will have more, but I have never said, wow, that girl's mattressable.
Right.
Fuck? Like, how much douche can you fit into that bag,
I think that at least me, I could give guys leeway. I know that, and trust me, women talk about men the same way. In objectifying them together.
What?
We do. Gray sweatpants. Might I just say that?
I'm writing a stern letter to leave details.
I am writing a strongly worded letter to the president of women.
To the president of women. Yes. Okay. Good luck finding that one. They're also catty.
I'm sure
Nobody would choose a president anyway.
I'm sure it's a man.
It probably is. You're right. Probably too. I cannot argue with that.
Oh, God.
But I can give that kind of leeway for men because I can see that. But to record that, to put that in your show,
to write it.
As a woman, to write it, yes. But then as a woman, hearing that and it was just so cringe. Of course, at this point in the cold open, Riley's like, he doesn't have blah, 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 blah. He's not interested.
Yeah.
Which up to this point, we've never felt that he was interested.
Nope.
So
when he becomes interested, I'm still not convinced he's interested.
Right. Yeah.
And then Graham sits down, and I think it's actually Graham who Forrest asks, do you think she's mattressable? And Graham just looks over. He looks at her, but he looks completely, he's not like, it doesn't feel like he's in on that conversation with Forrest.
Right. Graham almost seems like he's like he's not off in the same place Riley is, because Riley's like grading papers and shit, but he's definitely not in this conversation.
Oh, he's a stoner. He's 100% stoner.
You think Graham's a stoner?
He's completely stoned right now.
And stoner's
Okay.
fine. He at least he wasn't in that cringe element of where Forrest was going with stuff.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there could have certainly, I mean, I think we can all three agree that there's this, certainly could have been different dialogue there to
Literally
convey the
anything.
same message. Now,
Like, hey, isn't she pretty?
yeah,
Or even, hey, isn't she hot?
hot even, but is she? Don't you think she's mattressable? I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. However, the whole winning point of this cold open for me was Buffy herself, because she was so clumsy and I was totally relating to it, and I was laughing so hard at it because it's me. It's me. It's me. You know, Jeremy, Mom calls me Grace, even though that's not my name, because I am nowhere close to graceful. But it was just so funny, and you know, with what Forrest is saying, and then putting that up against what Buffy's actually doing, it was fascinating. She saved that scene for me, because that cold open was just so cringe.
Yep.
So cool, so cringe.
Yep.
And really that's all I had to say about the cold open. Do you guys have anything else to say about the cold open?
No, I think we fairly well beat its ass.
Yeah, no, I mean, we agree with everything you said there. I mean, to write that dialogue and be like, yeah, this is filmable, is
This quality shit right here, boys.
right. It's
I hear an Emmy knocking.
And more than one person in the crew okaying this.
well, yeah.
Joss Whedon. He's like, oh, that's great. I talk just like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Whedon,
He thinks it.
They sent the script to Whedon for script final approval, and he was like, mattressable? Yeah, I say that all the time.
Yeah, and when he gave his final approval, he was actually fucking an intern at that time. So he was like, that's fine.
Probably.
Yeah, on a mattress.
I can also say, I have no problem admitting that I actually have broken the little ice cream thing in the cafeteria at school. And I have, the thought crossed my mind, I didn't do it. The thought crossed my mind of doing the same thing, which was.
Yep.
But
I
instead did my hands.
I would have just walked the fuck away and acted like nothing happened.
Eventually I did when
while it just piled up. I'd have been like, I don't know.
I don't know if you've watched the pod or listened to the pod for this particular episode yet, Darlene. But during the cold open, I told Jeremy a story about how when I was younger at Old Country Buffet, for people that might remember Old Country Buffet, the same thing happened to me. I broke the handle on the soft serve ice cream dispenser, and I'm like standing there like panicking as it's into my hands. Yeah, I'm like, what the like? Yeah.
See, you guys are really good people, because I literally would have just walked the fuck away and never even thought about it again.
Just let it keep going. That's that next person's problem.
I'd be like, not my problem. I don't fucking work here. If you can't make your fucking handle unbreakable.
Jeremy would have been like, I got my vanilla chocolate swirl piece and walked away.
Sorry.
I could even see him thinking, I made it easy for the next person.
Yeah, just put your bowl up there. And,
and the next person's like freaking out. Employees are running over to see what's going on. Meanwhile, Jeremy's at the next station at the toppings, just like
the next.
I want some
sprinkles. Kid's parents are like blaming him for it.
I'd just be eating it and be like, look at that mess over there.
I don't know what happened over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Buffy, but the shots of Buffy, it saved it for me. It made it to where I continued being able to watch the cold open. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. So then we're going to where Giles and Xander are together in Giles's, I guess it's an apartment, house, condo?
Pretty dope apartment.
Whatever it is, it's nice. But he's drawing the what he assumes that the initiative guy looks like. Mm-hmm. And I was just noting he's not a bad artist.
Yeah.
It's pretty good for something he probably did not draw, but it was pretty good. And I also loved, so when he showed it to Xander, and Xander says, "Oh yeah, it's the latest in fall fascism."
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
dialogue between the two of them, I love that dynamic. I love it. And matter of fact, when they're in that dynamic, that's almost the only time I like Xander.
Pretty much. Yeah.
There's
Unless he's
there's
being.
there's a whole new dynamic between particularly Giles and Xander this season, but also new dynamics being formed between Giles and the rest of the individuals,
And the individuals with one another,
right?
Which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
But I think my favorite is the Giles Xander one, because it's like Giles is, he's not their teacher anymore. He's not a watcher. He can have more of a open opinion, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And say things to them that he probably shouldn't have or couldn't have said before.
Exactly. And I think Xander, to a certain extent, and the other characters are kind of coming around to this too, are also realizing, like, hey, this isn't an authority figure to us anymore.
He's just one of us.
Right.
He's one of us. I think they all still have that same level of respect, but the dynamics have really changed a lot, and I'm really enjoying. Actually, there's been several instances throughout the last few episodes where they're not pitting, but they're interacting characters with one another that you don't normally see together, and it's been working out really well for the most part. For instance, before Oz left, there was a little section where Oz and Buffy were together, at night, and it was a great dynamic. I really loved it. Now I love Oz, so anything Oz did was okay with me, pretty much. But the Giles, poor Giles is so bummed. There's nothing for him to do to help. So he's writing that. He drew the picture, and then he's realizing there's nothing he can do to research. There's nothing. And so I think he's finally realizing on his own, at least at this point in this episode, that there's only so much he can do in general, but especially with this specific issue, the initiative, which he doesn't know about yet. But so that was interesting. And then, and I love that nobody knocks on his door anymore.
No, they just come in.
Nobody does.
Just waltz in.
Even Buffy, who learned and had an experience that was uncomfortable for her when she walked straight into his house. But like nobody does anymore. They just walk right in.
Unless there's something really serious going on where would be the actual time to just barge in, then they knock.
Yeah.
Right.
Just go. You normally go.
Why are you knocking now?
Yeah.
Spike did knock in the. Is it this episode? Might be the next episode.
He had to. He can't get in with the thing.
He might have headbutted or something.
But like Jeremy said, Spike has to knock because he can't get in unless he's invited.
Right. So he had to get their attention.
That's true.
Right.
While hiding beneath the
And
blanket.
I think Willow knocked, but that's because she had her arms full of.
Yeah.
Things.
Right.
It was in a different one too. So nobody knocks anymore. I just noticed, and so then we're at the research facility where Spike is being held.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we switch to that, and
I love this scene.
This is a great scene. But here's a question that I, being a first-time viewer and not really aware of vampire lore, I have a question for the two of you, and maybe you know.
Okay.
Why does, and I don't remember the character's name, but his cellmate who has been in the show before, and I believe he was the one who came up out of the grave behind Willow and Buffy in the early one.
Yep.
Why is he vamped out the entire time?
This happens throughout Buffy off and on and Angel off and on. you'll see that there's certain vampires who are just always vamped out. And I think it's just a matter of convenience. Like they're like, well, just leave him in his prosthetics and stuff. And, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
But this is not the last time you'll see that. You'll see that a lot.
I do.
Now that you say that, sorry. Go ahead,
No,
Jim.
I was gonna say I think it comes down to, like Jeremy said, I think it comes down to convenience and probably budget.
Yeah.
Like,
I was thinking, just when you were speaking, I thought, well, maybe he was vamped out to let us know that it was a whole facility full of vampires that they had.
Well, it's not just vampires, though.
Because all I saw were vampires, and I that's probably absolutely true. But I know that during the breakout scene, when Spike was breaking out, you could see a couple of them, and they're like even a woman, in their cells, and they were all vamp faced. So I don't know what that was about. But I was
Probably
just curious,
like you said too, just to help the audience say, "Oh, these are all supernatural beings
right.
that are being down that are down here." But and also just really quick, when they take those, a lot of times when they take those prosthetics off, they get torn, and then they can't be reused.
They have to redo it again.
Yeah, so it's a huge budget thing too. Yeah,
that makes sense. I was just curious if I was missing something or whatever. Because I mean, Spike wasn't vamped out.
Yeah, they have the budget for Spike to vamp in and out.
But also, when you've got someone as pretty as James Marsters playing a vampire, why would you hide that, putting them behind all those?
I'm glad you finally admit that, James. I'll bet that was hard for you to admit.
What?
Okay, and so the other thing that I noted was, as soon as his little cellmate mentioned the Slayer, he immediately thought it was Buffy. He immediately blamed Buffy for all of this. And when he said something like, "Oh, I wondered what that bitch would do when she found some funding," or something
like where would she find funding? Slayers are us.
It was just immediately her that did this whole huge ordeal. He just went straight to her.
Killing you.
And I don't know, maybe it's just because his great dislike for her. I don't know. But
it's sexual.
He says, "I'll take her apart. I don't care how brilliant she is." And then they immediately switch to her sitting in class immediately after him saying she's brilliant, and she's going, "What's going on with my pen?" Her pen had exploded or something, and she like rubbed it all over her. It was a great sweet scene change. It was really great. I really liked that.
They're really good at that in the Buffy verse.
I really liked that. Okay, so I'll go to the next one. So let's go to Willow. We're coming up to Riley at the end of class, and she's, of course, in denial, minimizing the fact that he's coming back. He's coming back, And Riley was relatively nice. I can't say Riley's a bad guy yet. He has some scenes where he is thoughtful, at least, or is portraying thoughtfulness.
Yeah.
But then Professor Walsh and her response to Willow. What I laughed at is that she immediately says she isn't a narcissist or anything, because I'm not a narcissist. But then she immediately goes into a diatribe about Oz's one absence at this point that we're aware of. One absence that has completely disrespected her, and she's banned him from class.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, like if somebody begins a sentence with "I'm not a narcissist, but," or "I'm a racist, but,"
I was just gonna say like that. Right, that pretty much like that spans the spectrum. Any time it's like I'm not a blank, but like I'm not a misogynist, but
no offense, but
right,
I'm totally about to offend you.
Yeah,
but then of course we go to, and I loved Buffy's jab at Professor Walsh, because she stands up for Willow, of course, and she says, for someone who teaches human behavior, you might try showing some.
Yeah.
And then telling her she's a heartless bitch, not in those words.
I used those words in the podcast.
I probably would have used the words, but Buffy didn't. And she said she's a heartless that doesn't care about a human being in pain. And then Professor Walsh, she turns, she's like, it rolls off her back because she's probably a narcissist. Rolls off her back. She turns to Riley, and of course, this is when she says, I really like her.
Yeah.
And this is when Riley suddenly decides he must like her too.
Yeah. Oh, I like her too. It's like, what's going on with you and your mommy issues with Professor? Mommy likes her. I like her too.
I don't know. I never saw it coming. I'm still struggling with chemistry between the two of them.
Listen, let me just I'll ask you, James. This is the kind of thing I would normally ask you. How long has Professor Walsh been molesting Riley?
Approximately 3 days after he signed on to be her TA.
Okay. All right. That's what I figured.
Yes.
Or maybe she's known him since he was a kid and she's been grooming him.
Right. I mean, without having a lot of background.
Or maybe she gave him a new meaning for the words TA.
Right. Without knowing a lot of background between them, I'm gonna have to stick with the approximately 3 days after he signed on to be her TA. But should we ever find out that they've known each other beyond that, then yeah, 100%. Like, he was we probably have a Mary Kay Letourneau situation on our hands.
Yep.
Easily. But the thing with Riley liking Buffy just out of the blue for me.
It did. It came. We talked about this.
We talked about that on the pod. Yeah, it was just out of nowhere. All of a sudden, he's like, "I like Buffy."
Out of nowhere. It was just like, and like I would have accepted it more had we, the audience, seen hints of it that even Riley wasn't picking up on. But to have it be completely oblivious to literally everyone until it's mentioned in this episode.
One episode.
Like even his friends don't mention it until this episode. And then he's like, "Oh, so everyone knew before I did?" And it's like, "No, nobody knew before you did. Nobody had any fucking clue."
Forrest is like, "Yeah, we all knew, or everybody knew." Like, the what?
The
readers didn't know.
Space is like, "I didn't know. I was. I didn't know. I was."
Graham was like,
"Yeah." Graham's like, "Wait, but who?"
It.
He's like,
Graham's like, "But what? Who?"
So you're telling me that Riley is really into Buffy? That's what you're telling me?
Right. And then he's like, "Well, no. Wait. When did Riley become Walsh's TA?"
Yeah. He's like, "By the way, what is a Buffy?"
That girl's so hot, she's Buffy. That's another.
Buffy.
That's right. Another line
from
the cold open.
From the cold open, exactly. She's Buffy. Yeah, I like that one. Like, no, it's her name. Let's see. So then we go back. Okay, so this is kind of funny because I enjoyed this particular because it was just amusing to me because we're back at Xander's basement with Giles, and Xander's going through his weapons and his guns and talking about how tough he is and all of these things and then only to be interrupted by Xander's mother yelling down and saying, I made fruit punch for you boys.
Yeah.
Would you like some? Oh my gosh. Because you can see it on Xander's face. Giles is just like, is it raspberry?
Is it raspberry?
I love Giles's response. Is it raspberry? And I love it so much because I love Giles, no secret. Yeah. But also that's the kind of thing I could see myself doing. Like in a situation, like if I was in my 20-some-year-old friend's basement apartment that's really just his parents' basement, and doing something, and his mom was like, "I made fruit punch." In my mind, this would totally be my reaction. Like, "Oh, I like fruit punch. Is it raspberry fruit punch?
Like, do you have any pretzels?
Right. Like, my friend's all embarrassed and upset, and meanwhile I'm like, I kind of want some fruit punch though, dude. Like, can we get some of that?
It's hilarious, and it was just hilarious that she's yelling down about, would you boys like some fruit punch? And Giles is what, twice his age potentially?
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
At this point, it was just hilarious. I really enjoyed that scene. I laughed.
Yeah.
And then again, I just put that I really enjoy Giles and Xander together. I love their banter, and I just love it.
Especially because it's clear that Giles hates Xander. To me, it's
but it's because of Giles. I think it's because of Xander's character that I think it's important and it's necessary for us to understand why Giles finds him so annoying.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love his little things that he says to him, and that's going to come up here again in a minute too. Let's see. So the scene with Parker and the guys. All I wrote with that was a vomiting emoji because it was. I didn't even have words to describe that.
Yeah. I think on the pod, I said on that scene, I said it was just as soon as Riley punched him, it was like, okay, cool, that's over, you know.
And he said, I did pick up what he said, and what Riley punched him on was Parker saying a toilet seat doesn't follow you around after you use it.
Yeah.
I wanted to punch him.
Yeah, like it was the first moment of this season where, well, not the first moment of the season, but like everyone, and we've talked about it, talks about what a shit character Riley is and this and that and whatnot. But like, this is at least, I want to say, like the third time this season so far where I've had to be like, you know what? I don't like, Riley's kind of a good guy. Like, he pulled Willow out of the middle of the street when she almost accidentally got hit by a car. He just decked this dude because he said something completely awful about our girl Buffy. You know, so what I'm like, and we'll see in future episodes, like the episode that just dropped of the podcast, we talk about a particular scene where I was like, man, like Riley's just a good guy. Like I feel bad for disliking him.
I can't even say
and
I
I
dislike
almost
Riley. I don't dislike Riley. I was mentioning before also how he does these good things. There are things that are very thoughtful that he does. For instance, when Willow is saying, you know, they're sitting in the party and Willow says that song, of course, that plays is upsetting her, and so he has them change the song. It's just thoughtful things like that, and it's not that I dislike Riley at all. I just don't feel the chemistry, and I didn't see that coming at all. But I was so happy. That's probably my proudest moment of Riley. For Riley. Just punching hard.
Yeah, I would almost say that this rewatch so far this season has made me reconsider my stance on this being the worst season of Buffy. And granted, I do know what's to come, so that could change again. But it's also honestly changed my opinion on Riley. But again, I know what's to come with Riley, so I'm sure my opinion on Riley will change again too.
Yeah, well, I'm finding it now. I don't dislike Riley. I just don't get the chemistry.
I'm gonna say as of rewatching it right now, as of now, I like Riley again, and I'm finding it hard to remember why I disliked Riley in the first place. But I do agree that the chemistry between he and Buffy it's damn near non-existent.
And I also will admit that I will remain silent on this.
Why?
Because I do not like Riley, and I never have, and I never will.
Okay.
I don't like the character, and I don't. I don't dislike the actor, but I don't think he's a fabulous actor. But the character is just
It's
nothing.
almost like I can see what you're saying, because it's almost like you could really plop anybody down as an actor in that particular role and probably get the same kind of feedback or feelings about it, I
Yeah,
guess.
Well, I think after Angel and then kind of throwing Parker in there, and I think that's part of the reason why they went so hard with Parker, is that they went way too hard in the opposite direction of that type of person.
Parker was
for
bad
Buffy.
casting from the get-go, because I've said it. I
No,
said it then, and I say it now. I'm like, this dude's
I'm-
not scoring SMG like in any fucking universe. Like,
But I'm not talking about casting. I'm talking
I know.
about like
I know.
the character itself.
the
Like,
core of the character.
you know,
I know.
right, like after Angel and then, you know, the bad boy that Parker was, I feel like the writers tried to go too far in the opposite direction of like
Country pumpkin.
a good guy, and he just comes off as very bland, you know, because
Yeah, and so as much as I would have liked to have punched Parker also, it just felt like it came from completely nowhere and it made no sense to me.
right.
I mean, until of course a little further in the episode, but at that point I was like, yay, punch him. So now immediately Riley's all about Buffy. And I was trying to wrap my mind around that, because again, I didn't see that coming at all. And I don't see the chemistry even when they're together. If that changes, maybe. But at this point in time, I don't feel it. And that was completely out of the blue for me. But I did absolutely enjoy Punker. He is a punk. Parker being punched, because I would have done that myself gladly.
See, I wouldn't have punched him. I would have slapped him.
Like the bitch he is.
Like the bitch that he is.
Little bit more ammo on that, psychologically.
I would have slapped the ghost out of him, is what I would have done.
So I'm gonna ask a question for you guys. I know that
Yes.
you're second time viewers, or even third or fourth. Being a first time viewer,
For me.
yeah, okay, fair. So being a first time viewer, I immediately knew this Spike was not really unconscious. When they went back to the facility and he's like looking at, did you guys think that the first time? Do you even remember?
Oh no, of course you knew he was
I was
playing
like,
something.
he's totally not. This is
Yeah.
this is not right. So good. I'm glad I wasn't the only one, because I was like, maybe I should have been.
But obviously the scientists are morons.
Are idiots.
Right.
You're right. Exactly.
Right.
So and then.
And let me bring up this too, which I didn't bring up in the pod, but now that I think about it, in what world do these two bumpkin scientists walk into this secured cage to get this supernatural being, and there's no armed guard with them?
And they have no security of their
No
own.
weaponry whatsoever.
No, none. They just walk straight in there.
Yeah, there's no beep, and they walk in. And
that's
let's
definitely
get
one of those things
vampire.
where you're like, that is just not logical.
Yeah.
Now, I did have another question for you guys. Again, this is the vampire folklore, and it actually happens in some further episodes. But if it is true that Spike at this point is super weak because he hasn't fed, how is he doing all of this fighting so effectively? Is it just a supernatural thing?
Well, I don't think he's as weak right now as he is
Eventually.
later.
Coming up, yeah.
He's beginning to show the signs of weakness now, because that's why he was so close to when that packet of blood came in. He was like, "Oh fuck yeah!"
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because he certainly doesn't look as, where eventually he has the gaunt bruising on his. Yeah, so that makes sense.
And again, this is something.
The older a vampire is, the longer they can go without sustenance or what have you.
Probably
maintain some.
And this is something that Jerry and I talked about in the most recent episode that dropped, is that, you're never given, or very rarely are you ever given, a timeline of events in these episodes. So it's like
Which
Spike
can be
could have been right. So Spike could have been in captivity for 3 days or
3 hours.
3 hours. It's hard to say. So
Yeah, I imagine it would have happened pretty close to them having dropped the blood, because according to the cellmate, they wait till you get hungry enough, drop the blood, which is drugged. Oh, Jeremy quit. Drop the blood,
Did I?
and then which is drugged, and then wait for you to pass out, and then they come and get you. So everybody is potentially correct here. It all sounds valid to me. Yeah, you just flashed out for a minute, and your I quit the show profile came up.
I should make a specific picture that says I quit.
I quit this.
Put it right there.
Just put
Yeah.
I quit above that little picture, because it's
Yep.
kind of the one that everybody, I think,
I'm done with
knows.
this shit.
You-
I'm over it.
I'm out. So we're just going back to that. So you answered that question, which I had. And he only sprung his cellmate. I remember on the podcast listening to you guys talk about this, but I think he only has helped his cellmate escape because he had the exit plan.
Well, not just that, but I think knowing Spike as well as I do now, being a 97th time watcher, I think Spike always will nab somebody like that, thinking, "Hey, I might need this fucker as who knows what,
Shield.
as a
Right.
meat shield, as a fucking anything.
Which is what he
I'll just bring
eventually
him with
used
me."
him as.
distraction.
Because he told
Right.
him to go that way, which is where the elevator full of the guys were. So yeah, absolutely.
And he's like, "Change your plans. You're getting caught."
I mean,
Right.
okay, he thought it through. That makes a lot of sense, I guess. Even if it's Spike, that makes a lot of sense. So
I will
Spike
give
is
this
not as dumb as James looks. I'm just gonna say that now.
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. And I was just about to give Spike a compliment, but now I'm not going to, because fuck you, Jeremy.
he's holding your comment against Spike.
I have
right.
cost James Marsters a comment.
Right.
Comment.
The sins of Jeremy will be visited upon the Spike.
There we go. I gotta tell you though, I enjoy Spike, and I know that because Jeremy knows this, but because I was given a spoiler that I did not expect, one of the boys sent me a link. Remember I told you, I said he sent me a link, and they had a bunch of spoilers in there, and I didn't know it. And you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
But because I know that there's something coming up that Spike does to Buffy, that's keeping me a little bit from liking him as much as I probably could.
Well, in fairness,
he's hilarious.
In fairness, she does some shit to him. It's an unhealthy situation. Let's just put it that way. Like, it's not all spiky, baby.
It's not, but I'm in the same boat.
But
knowing
yes, he's a definite misogynist pig. Yeah.
Knowing one thing in particular that comes up down the line, it's very hard.
Is the one that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for me to justify sexual assault. Let's just put it out there.
No, 100%, which it should have never existed in this show, in my opinion, because I don't think it serves a purpose other than a shock value for this particular, what we're talking about. Because it doesn't, what's the term? It doesn't sell no tickets, put it that way.
Yeah. But I'm with you as far as, and I'm interested to see what she does to him, because
but I do.
I can see both sides of that.
But unfortunately, because of that upcoming incident, I do find it hard to revisit the show and have the same level of enjoyment from Spike that I did.
But I'll say the same thing I said to you, James, when this came up before. Let's not act like Angel's a fucking angel. He has done some shit that may even be beyond that, which we will discover as seasons of Angel goes along.
I think that this can become one of those points in the show where, because you could even take that as far as where Spike's had a really awful life and we could see where he would make some of these really poor decisions, and angels have done awful things also. But then we can also take that out a little bit and understand why Buffy makes some of the decisions she's made. Parker,
Right.
just her own past stuff. That's the relational human being stuff that I was talking about earlier that I enjoy.
And I will
Yeah,
also make
definitely.
the other point that I made to James, I believe, in the last couple of weeks, is that let's not forget Spike does not have a soul. Just saying. I'm not saying it excuses anything. I'm just saying he's literally a demon in a human carcass because there's no soul.
So at this point in time, I am loving Spike because he's hilarious. His dialogue is hilarious. I totally get and can understand. I love dark humor.
Yeah.
So, and he certainly has a lot of dark humor. So there's just a lot of things that I do enjoy about him at this point in time. Yeah. So, and I mean, every show has to have some villains.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you have to.
And what I was going to say before is that if there's anything I will give Spike, it's that he's a planner, and his plans are usually pretty good.
Unless they
might not always work out in his favor, because of course they're against our protagonist, so they're not going to. But
he talks about it a lot, and even in self-dialogue, he's like, "What the fuck? This girl."
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but he is a planner, and his plans are usually pretty good. But unfortunately, they're just not good enough against Buffy or Angel. So
he plans for the long term, and sometimes that just doesn't work out.
Right.
And that's hilarious. It is hilarious those times when it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that in when we get down here, because I was laughing so hard at one of these episodes. I think you know exactly which one I'm talking about, and it's the Thanksgiving episode. I'm sure I was going to say, I laughed so hard at that episode. Oh my gosh, it was so funny.
Well, I laughed my ass off when he was giving his big speech, and then he got stung stick from behind. He's like, and when I was like, So.
I loved every time they. Okay, I'll hold it for later. But Giles come to. Oh, okay. Oh, this is my other favorite part of this episode. When Riley comes to the dorm room to talk to Willow about Buffy. That's not the favorite part, actually. But she says, I've seen honest faces before, and they usually are attached to liars.
Yep.
Yep. I love Buffy that way. That's not the funny part, though. And I think it's this episode still. But then we got to... But Willow's just being blah, and Riley being able to see that. And he's like, okay, I'm going to be out of here. I think that it was important to show that Willow was bummed. And I think, as we all do when we have a breakup, love sucks. Everything sucks. Don't talk to me about anything. I don't want to hear any of that stuff. So it was.
I want to listen to sad music and write poetry.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know. After experiencing the episode that just dropped with Jeremy, I'm not sure Jeremy's ever had those feelings.
No. I've said before, I'm dead on the inside. I mean, I have a cold.
I make up for all the feelings Jeremy hasn't had. I probably
Darlene got all of the feelings in our family.
All the feelings. Absolutely.
She got them all.
All and more.
I got like 11. I got like 11.
I got like 11.
And none of the good ones.
No. Mine are like anger, hate, sloth.
Sloth. There we go. And so we get to the next part where Giles and Xander are on the stakeout. I guess they're looking for the initiative guys. But it's another one that it really made me laugh out loud, because Xander's going on and on and on. He's talking, and Giles just looks at him and says, "Oh, shut up."
Yeah.
I loved it. And that's the dynamic between the two of them that I enjoy so much. And Xander's like, okay, and he shuts up.
Yeah, he's
he
like,
doesn't argue with him.
He's like, wow, brah.
Don't argue with him at all. And then I liked when Willow is at the party because she, of course, told Riley that Buffy's going to a certain party and when it's at his house and all that stuff. The house his fraternity house, I assume. So, but I like when Willow walks up to him and she says, "If you hurt her, I will beat you to death with a shovel."
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. I love it because it's something I may or may not have said before.
You've probably said it before.
Probably have. And meant every word.
Yeah.
The fight between Harmony and Xander, hilarious. Hilarious. They slowed
slap
it
fight.
down. The slap fight. Yeah, exactly what I wrote. The slap fight in slow-mo.
Yeah, yeah.
It was so amazing. I really enjoyed that part too.
I love Harmony.
Yeah, she's growing on me. I think that's because
she grows on you as time goes by.
I think she's growing on me because she's coming into her own and she's not letting Spike be Spike to her. And I admire that and I enjoy seeing it.
She's like,
she definitely has
trying to stake me.
She definitely, I think, has had some therapy because she uses therapy talk in this episode where she's saying, "I'm coming into my power," and I.
Oh, you didn't see the book that was on her that was opened up?
I missed the book. So she's reading therapy books.
It was like oh shit, I forgot. Go back and look at there. You can see the title of the book. She's been reading therapy and like Freudian books and stuff.
That's exactly where it came from then. Okay, yeah. I love it. And I love hearing her do that.
And she stuck to it.
She did. Kicked his ass out. I loved every moment of that. And then again, I said this earlier, but I feel zero chemistry between Riley and Buffy.
None.
Okay, here we go, Jeremy. This is where you started getting texts from me.
Yeah.
They're retina scan downstairs.
Hey, you heard what I said in the fucking podcast. I was like, what?
And I texted you, I think, before I saw the podcast. But I was like, maybe it's after. I can't remember exactly.
No. You texted me before. I haven't
seen it yet.
Yeah.
Yes, and I was just like, I think I was WTF and all over the place. And I was like, what is going on? I had to pause the show. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, to the point where as it continued, where they're walking into the facility, and then who turns around? Professor Walsh?
Yeah.
I'm texting Jeremy again. I'm saying, Professor Walsh with capital letters, and like, no. And I literally, this is one of the very, very few times that I considered turning it off. I really did. I was so disgusted. And so I felt like my intelligence was being insulted. And I was like, I can't. No.
Because it's like really this misogynistic fucking, or this, this psycho crazy fucking bit. Like, she's the, come on.
It was just, I couldn't buy the entire thing.
Yeah.
Riley being part of it, Forrest being part of the retina scan. I didn't see it coming. I couldn't buy it at all. And it just seems so ridiculous to me. Aside from the fact that they've built this entire government facility underneath a public college campus.
Which I immediately brought up to James in the podcast.
Yeah.
Anywhere else would have been okay, I guess. I still would have probably felt the same, which was, what the fuck? What this is ridiculous. I'm not following this. And now Professor Walsh is it? What?
Yeah.
But it could have been anywhere else. But it's underneath the campus, the public college campus. And that's going to play into something in an episode, in the Thanksgiving episode too, that I was kind of irked me a little bit. Yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute. But I'll talk about that.
Like I say though, that this is something that I did bring up to James immediately on the podcast. I was like, bro, you're telling me they built this giant underground fucking facility and nobody upstairs fucking heard or felt a thing.
I said
of all places on a college campus where those kids go and do all kinds of things. I'm sorry, go ahead, James.
I'm a fan of the theory that it was built when the college was built.
I just can't. No.
I don't understand the reasoning. It seems like such a security
Does
risk.
the government have a reason for anything it does?
Fair.
Fair enough.
Fair.
Touche.
I just still think it could have been built anywhere else. I don't know. But I was just still trying to wrap my mind around any logic having to do with this whole initiative thing and what I was looking at and seeing happening.
Well, and like I said also in the pod, I think I said, okay, so we're gonna capture all of these super dangerous supernatural creatures, and we're gonna imprison them directly below supper. You know, like.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know.
So
I will. Go ahead, Darlene. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. I have it written down. You don't.
I was going to say, to touch on what you said about the Professor Walsh reveal. To me, that's right up there with the whole O'Reilly likes Buffy thing. Like,
Yeah.
there was
Where the fuck did that
no
come
evidence.
Where
Like,
did that come from? Yeah.
like I was willing to buy that, like, Riley and Graham and Forrest are these army guys that have been running around. Fine. We didn't really know anything about them anyway.
Right.
The Maggie Walsh reveal was right up there with Riley having feelings for Buffy. And I based that almost solely on the fact that she actively did not know what werewolves were back in Wild at Heart.
She said they
And
were
it's
big
not-
dogs or something.
Threw a briefcase at it, you know, and
Big
ran.
dogs.
Right. And you could try and pass it off as like she was deliberately like being misleading or anything, but
She looked pretty genuine.
right, but you really can't, because she was talking to Riley, who is also part of this initiative thing,
right?
And there was nobody around them, or at least.
And she screamed and threw her briefcase at him. Who was she hiding from there? It was just her and the werewolf.
Right.
So who was she playing, acting up for there?
Huge incontinuity. But I mean, there have been many, and you just have to, like, I guess, just go with that.
You do.
But that's a great point that James made, because she wouldn't have acted that way.
Yeah.
And she may not actually have ever told anybody else aside from Riley that she even saw it or that it ever happened. But
yeah,
right.
I'd be fucking telling.
But it got around because it got around to Buffy, and they were talking about the dogs and the werewolves because somebody came to tell her. Remember?
The way those werewolves looked, I'd have been like, you wouldn't believe this mutant fucking creature that came at me in the fucking parking lot last night. Like,
I wouldn't have likened it to a dog of any kind.
Fuck no, I'd have been like, this thing looked like Bill down the street. But really,
well, if you remember, Buffy found out about the two werewolves from interrupting the conversation Maggie was having with Riley.
Right.
And that's again why it's right, and that's again why it's hard to like try and pass it off as like, oh, Maggie was just trying to cover up or whatever. Like, she wasn't. She was actively confused by the fact of these things when Buffy interrupted them. So
there was no. When she turned around, that's when I immediately texted Jeremy. One of the times I paused it and I said, "And Professor Walsh?" Like nothing leading up to that. Nothing.
Yeah.
Just FYI, it gets worse.
Oh, good.
As the season, like, it gets more fucking
crazy,
goddamn ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yes.
All right. Well, at least they've warmed me up for it.
I mean, goddamn ridiculous. Okay.
So does that wrap up your notes for the initiative, Darlene?
Let's see. I said, let's see. I have that. The scene between Spike and Willow is hilarious. I love that scene because I've had it.
in the dorm room. Yeah.
I can't wrap my notes up without that, because it was probably one of my favorite exchanges in that whole episode.
Yeah.
And that's because I can relate to it, and I've had it numerous times, and that's exactly how it goes.
James can relate to it too.
That is exactly the
Yeah.
way that the female tries to handle it. And I was laughing so hard the way that they tied all that together. It was incredible. I loved it so much. It was probably my favorite.
How does it normally go for the guy in that situation?
I wouldn't know,
Probably
Jeremy.
exactly the way that Spike responded, which has been my experience.
I would imagine there's probably like denial and
this never happened to me before.
Right, like the whole "this has never happened to me before" thing. I would imagine that's probably how it goes. But Darlene has apparently experienced it, so
Darlene has, and so but Willow, it's hilarious because she goes from trying to help him feel better about it to then blaming herself. Oh, I must not be.
Am I not good enough to buy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and then I love how Spike is like, no, don't be ridiculous. It's not.
Yeah,
he's like, right. He's like, I've thought.
Remember when you wore that whatever? I was really
right.
Really
I've thought about it before when you wore that flowery blouse thing. Yeah, it was great.
And Willow's even like, well, maybe if you just wait a half hour.
Yeah. Maybe you should take a Rolade or something and maybe sit down.
I loved it. It was easily real close, if not the top exchange in that whole thing, that whole episode. Yes, I said the same thing about the initiative, and then I didn't give my rating.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You got to give us your rating.
I wrote that I was initially so disgusted by the initiative reveal that I considered giving the episode a 1.
Wow.
But aside from the initiative ridiculousness, it was entertaining and amusing in a lot of places, especially with Giles and Xander, and then Harmony and Xander's fight, and definitely the exchange with Spike and Willow.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed those things so much that I decided to give it a very low, but a low 3.
I think that's
absolutely unbelievable secret government facilities built right below public college campuses.
Right below supper.
I think we went 3 on it too.
I think
we did. Did you guys go? Did you both?
I think we did.
So. Yeah,
pretty close to that. I mean, middle of the road episode kind of thing. And like you said,
I gave it a low 3, but the rest of it really, the initiative blew my mind, and it was difficult. But the rest of it was really entertaining in so many parts that
Well, if you hate the initiative now, just wait how much you'll hate it later.
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind.
All right, let's take
before we jump into the next tier. Why don't we take a little break? And after these words, we'll be right back. And we are back. So let's pick up where we left off.
Let's dive into S-Dub. She left some comments about this episode, the initiative. So let's go through those real quick. She says, "Hey, sorry it's been a bit. I was doing that cocaine James had and went MIA. Anyway, let's just get into it, and shall we? First of all, we all know that's not true because James doesn't share his drugs."
True.
I don't share my drugs.
That's pretty generous.
Yeah,
right.
True. He bogarts the weed all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She says, honestly, who doesn't love Leisure Giles? All into this loose sweater thing he's got going on. I could have a whole ep on his and Xander's banter alone. I say banter, but what it is Giles just ripping on Xander as the gross human he is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. We love to see Buffy actually being a friend. It's spotty to me sometimes. Or you can say Will is a way better friend to Buffy. I mean, Jeremy and I touched on this yet again in this past week's episode. What episode did we just do, Jeremy, of Buffy?
Something Blue.
Yeah, Something Blue.
Which has not dropped in our reality.
Yeah, it has. Something Blue dropped on it dropped on Monday.
Okay.
Angel hasn't dropped yet.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes. Sorry. I get messed
Hero
up.
has
I get messed up in our timeline sometimes with all our time traveling.
right. Hero hasn't dropped yet.
Hero, yeah.
But Jeremy and I talk about it again in Something Blue, like, and we've talked about it a lot. Like, Buffy's not a good friend.
No,
Buffy is not a good friend.
She has her moments.
She has these moments like this scene that S-Dub is talking about and Darlene mentioned earlier with, with Professor Walsh after Walsh laid into Willow about Oz missing class.
Right.
Like, she has moments and she will like fight for you. Like, she'll save your life.
Yeah, she'll kill people. She'll literally kill for you.
She will literally kill for you.
Which is kind of a good friend, but
but she is not going to hang around and chit chat with you when you're at your lowest.
But at the end of the day, she's not that great a friend.
Yeah.
I think I wonder, or at least I find myself wondering, especially with the Thanksgiving episode, how emotionally intelligent she doesn't seem to have a lot of emotional intelligence, and I don't know if that's something that she just didn't learn, because
probably from being from a broken home with a street walking hooer mother.
Right.
That'll probably do it. Yeah.
And that's something I did mention in Pangs, was that I wonder how much of Buffy's like anxiety about having the perfect Thanksgiving and the fact that like Willow and Giles keep fighting and Xander and Willow and all these combinations of people keep fighting, and her anxiety about it isn't directly related to coming from a broken home and how many holidays leading up to.
So yeah, I completely agree about that. Completely.
And how many holidays leading up to her parents' divorce were just like people yelling at each other.
And they're like throwing shit, and somebody's getting stabbed with a fork.
Fork.
Who knows? Yeah.
The sporks are down.
S-Dub says, I would have loved to see this fire thrown at the pop culture professor on the first day. Anyone still hate that guy other than me?
Dick.
Yeah. It would have been great to see Buffy throw some of this hostility that she's giving Walsh right now at that guy.
Or a roundhouse kick to the face.
Or a roundhouse kick to the face. Yeah, whatever. She's got fucking superpowers. Jesus.
Kick his head off his body.
Slayer jump. She could have Slayer jumped from where she was in the seats to the podium and just punched a hole right through that guy's face.
Yeah. And that would have been, I believe, equal to what he had done to her.
Oh, yeah, definitely equal. Jeremy and I have said this before. If we ever were granted by whatever powers that exist the ability to make a Buffyverse show, it would have to be like on Prime or HBO Max or something. Because this would be like,
I totally see that.
Because this would be like The Boys type shit.
Yeah, it would be if you ever watch The Boys, that's the type of show it would be.
Mm-hmm. I think I would totally follow that too.
Yeah.
S-Dub says, I'm going to do it. I'm going to defend. Where to go? Oh, I'm going to defend Captain Cardboard. Does he have spice? Hell no. But does he defend our girl's honor? Treat her decently? Not play mind games with her? Is her own age? Yes, I'm on the Riley.
I'm gonna have to disagree there though with the mind games thing. He is hiding the fact that he's a government trained.
That's true.
Demon hunter.
I don't know for sure, but is he her age?
I think
he's older. He's probably
our senior, actually.
Right, but I think what she's getting at is that he's closer to her age than Angel was.
He's not 230.
Well, he's not 200.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a fair point.
He doesn't have a good 2 centuries on her.
Okay. Fair.
Let's also add in here that Forrest sucks. Yes, we've all agreed that Forrest sucks. Allison Hannigan can really sell me on those sad eyes, and anytime she tears up, again, we see her be an amazing friend. I do like seeing this dynamic and this side of Will's personality. Yeah, we've talked about that numerous times on here.
Mm-hmm.
It's Allison Hannigan gets those teary eyes going and crying, and like it breaks me.
I'm like, what's wrong, Willow?
Right. I can't. Why?
I just start ugly crying for no reason.
Right. Just snot pouring out of my nose. Like I'm like
hiccuping and shit.
Right.
It'll do it every time.
Yep.
Willow.
I love how this show will sprinkle or dump in the foreshadowing. Like I always say about this show, it's better the second time around.
Yeah, because you spot all the foreshadowing and you're like, oh, I never realized they did, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, Harmony. Guys, I like her-ish. She provides entertainment, and who the fuck else can call William the Bloody Blondie Bear and live? Only her dumbass. Plus, she provides a different side of Spike we get to see. Would that be the misogynistic side? Because that's the only side I've seen.
Well, I think she's saying she gets away with literal murder with him that no one else would get away with.
Well, he plays her.
That's
though.
probably true.
Like the whole Blondie Bear thing. That's
he's totally.
That he's manipulating her for those.
He's definitely manipulating the fuck out of her, but
yeah, because I don't think he cares a damn about her.
Oh no!
Yeah, so I don't know. I would like her. I'm sorry. Maybe she says more about what side that Spike that Harmony brings out.
She doesn't actually.
Oh.
When all is said and done, this show, Joel, you will discover that there's only one being in the world Spike has ever, maybe two, that Spike has ever given two shits about, and Harmony ain't one of them.
Right. Yeah. But I think what S-Dub might be trying to get at here is kind of like what Jeremy was saying, is that if Harmony had been anybody else in this situation, in the Spike Harmony situation, she would be dead already.
Well, he's already tried to kill her once.
Right.
So yeah.
It didn't work.
Yeah, he's like, fuck. That's always worked before when I stuck wood inside the heart of a vampire. What the hell?
And I mean, he needs her right now. In this particular episode, he needs her. So yeah, I see what she's saying though. I see what she's saying.
This is the best slap fight ever. I love the whole production of it.
It is amazing.
It was. I especially like the slow-mo.
The slow-mo.
If only they had played like Chariots of Fire over it, that would have made it just epic.
Dun,
yeah, that would be great. That was amazing.
See Riley being observant enough to see Willow's demeanor change when the song comes on. That's something I don't think we talked about that. I mentioned it when we did the podcast, but this time around, that's something else that like I had to sit back and be like, Riley's just a good guy. Like he noticed
one of the things that I mentioned, that he noticed that she was upset about that song, and so he asked them to cut the song. There are a lot of things. She's right. There's a lot of things that he does that you wish some guys would do,
Right.
And that's what makes him unbelievable, though. Like, there's no guys who were that fucking nice.
There are some. I don't know where they are, but there are some.
I've heard there are some on an island.
They're with
Pacific.
She says, would Angel have pulled his broody head out of his broody butt and be that observant to Willow? Absolutely not. This guy so far is good for Buffy. We don't tolerate Angel slander here.
No, I don't know
we're
what.
Not gonna,
when you're speaking of David Moriarty,
it's hard for me to be on board with that, but only because I just watched I'll Remember You, and so yeah, we'll get to that one.
I know the pan out of the initiative was supposed to be impressive, but it was just empty. LOL. It was. It was a big empty space.
That was an understatement. She really could have said a
Um,
whole lot more than that. I'm surprised she didn't. She
uh,
could have torn that up.
She says, "Oh, every human is 98.6. Are they? And excuse me, 62.3 is cold as effing hell for a freaking room temp. They'd be wearing coats to sleep."
Dude, you would have to have a fire inside the room.
Yeah.
However,
Hypothermia would be happening.
if Jeremy and I were in separate rooms with that temperature, we would also have a fan on.
Oh, yes. Yes. Listen, I can't sleep in this freezing cold if you don't have a fan.
I have a fan on.
She says, and of course Riley bitches out asking her out, but he still made sure to keep talking to her nonetheless. It's actually really sweet. However, even if this guy is great, you got to have some fire. We definitely see it from him now, but she really doesn't see him that way. Pretty decent ep. Professor Walsh is a hoe. All in all, a solid 3 out of 5 for me.
Professor Walsh is a hoe.
Professor Walsh she's not a hoe like
no, not Mama Summers type.
Right.
Hoe.
She is just not a hoe on the caliber of Joyce LeCour Summers. But she is a hoe. She is definitely a hoe. All right. Let's discuss angels. What?
You said
What?
You said
What? No, I was going to say, in the interest of time, we better start speeding up.
Okay. Well, how about if I go through?
No, I hate that idea already. Stop.
How about if I go through S-Dub's comments and we interject on her comments, and Darlene can fill in her thoughts as well from her notes.
Well, no, I want to hear Darlene's take on "I Will Remember You."
Okay.
I think that's the most important, episode that we need to get to.
I'm just going to tell you now, Darlene's notes are very short on "I Will Remember You."
Well, I want to hear.
And that is because I was watching that episode so intently, and I was so emotionally involved in it that I wasn't writing much about it.
That's when you know it's a good episode.
Okay. Well, then, how about if we do this? Let me read S-Dub's thoughts on The Bachelor Party, Pangs, and I Will Remember You, and then we can go to Darlene's thoughts on I Will Remember You.
Yeah, because I want her thoughts on that, and I want her yeah.
Okay.
And I maybe give you some brief things about my thoughts. I wrote a lot.
Oh yeah. You interject as he's going along with reading S-Dub stuff.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. 100%.
Is S-Dub the only one that's commented on any of these other than Darlene?
Yeah.
Wow, no one loves us. Okay, just checking.
But yeah, 100%.
No one except me and S-Dub.
I guess.
We count.
100%. 100% as I'm going through this, Darlene, please cut in, throw in your thoughts from your notes as we're going through.
Okie doke.
Yes.
So this is Angel Season 1, Episode 7, The Bachelor Party. Hi, this will be a short one because, let's be honest, this one was unremarkable. First off, Doyle can die now. Reading is hot, and you can't tell me different.
Wait, who's
That's
hot?
a hot take.
She says, reading is hot, and you can't tell me different. Oh, wait, you said trivia? Trivia and bar food might win out. So, yeah, I believe she's referring to the cold open in this one, in which Angel is reading.
Oh, yeah, and he wants to go to the sports bar, and
he wants to go to the sports bar to do trivia.
Yeah.
Mine was just that Cordy looks amazing as always, and I loved that she didn't have the guy meet her at home, which was super smart, and that Angel's protectiveness was super sweet. I really liked that. And Doyle has his vision that a guy is going to be to the vampire nest entree, and then on the way out he says everybody's got dinner dates but us, like coordinating.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cute.
Really quick, I want to put this to the both of you. I want both of your opinions. When he has these visions, okay, how in the fuck do they know where to go?
I think that's a very good question. I've wondered it myself. I just know that in this particular episode, he specifically says there's a young man who is at there's a vampire den downtown. And I don't know, that's a little bit specific. Maybe because Angel's a vampire, he knows where the dens are.
Or maybe he can sense it or smell them or something.
I kind of always, so my headcanon has always been that the visions, even though we see them as just visions, there's more information that Doyle gets.
Okay, that they don't show like visually on the screen. Okay.
And my basis for that is the fact that in the first episode, Doyle had the address for the coffee shop Tina worked at.
Right.
For that girl, right. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, my headcanon is that the visions aren't just random pictures. He also picks up other pieces of information as well.
That makes sense.
I can buy that.
I can see it. Mm-hmm.
I'll buy that for $1.
It's $1.99 though.
Oh, inflation, man. He's out.
Thanks, Biden.
Thanks, Obama.
Right.
Thanks, Obama. You know, as old as these motherfucking dudes are, they never seem to learn tact. And someone check to see how sticky that picture is. Not sorry. Wow.
Coming in hot.
Right. I believe
the Buffy picture in the book.
I believe this is a direct reference to Buffy's picture falling out of Angel's book. Yes.
Well, I don't know. It fell out pretty easily, so.
Right.
Wait,
right.
Angel can't whack it, because if he does and he reaches climax, he loses his soul.
Good point.
That is a good point. But you're gonna tell me you're gonna tell me
that's why
that you're gonna
rooting all the time, because he's fucking got blue balls.
You're gonna tell me that in 200 he had to have fucked Darla at some point.
But he never cared about Darla. Like, he never loved Darla.
So he loves jerking off so much that he's gonna get his soul back?
He loves his penis.
I mean, listen, I've jerked off quite a bit, okay? And I've never felt like I was gonna ejaculate my soul out.
Yeah, but he's cursed. And he's cursed.
That's true.
They're saying it's a possibility.
It's something to think about.
That's true. Okay. All right.
That's why he's so moody, I'm telling you.
I don't know. I just don't know if I buy that masturbating would bring more happiness than screwing Darla or Drusilla.
Well, for him,
or Spike.
It would. For him, it would, because he doesn't love or care for. Buffy's the love of his life, you know. And
but like you said, he can't masturbate to Buffy. Maybe he masturbates to others. Maybe that's why her picture wasn't sticky.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a picture of Darla, him like choking Darla. And he's like, "Oh, I hate that bitch."
He definitely wouldn't have fallen out of their book, that's for sure.
No, yeah. Couldn't open the book. The book would have been glued together.
She says, "Oh, Whoopi, another douchebag. I mean Doyle episode. This is going to be even shorter."
Man,
I don't get the
Doyle hate. I always liked Doyle.
We disagree. We disagree. I like him.
Yeah, I liked him. I've always liked. I think it was a rough go the first few episodes. Him, them trying to get
used to him, and
yeah, and I kind of liked where they were going with Doyle until they unceremonious. Never mind.
But Now, maybe you guys know this. I don't. Maybe there's a reason she doesn't like him. Like maybe somewhere down the line something happened. No? Okay. Well,
Because
everybody
that down the line is like 2 more episodes.
Right, right.
So to each her own, then I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
I really like them.
I will tell you this much based on her comments. She does not like the show overall. Period.
That's right. She's not a big. This is her first Angel go round, and so far she has not been impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we still have to win her over on the Angel wagon.
yeah, so hopefully that comes soon.
Yeah.
Based on her comments from I Will Remember You, that episode really didn't go far in doing it, so I don't know what it's going to take.
S-Dub doesn't strike me as the super, what's the word I'm looking for? Like touchy-feely, Sarah McLaughlin listening type of person. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that would be the episode. There are episodes I believe that will grab her by the girl testes.
Right. She says, "Wait, Cordy, Xander isn't brave. He's many things, most of all a douche canoe, but he is brave. Most times stupidly so. Hard disagree there. You don't have to be a good person to be brave necessarily. If you want to play the semantics game with that, LOL."
I think I would add to that really Xander didn't become brave, so to speak, until after Cordy was gone.
I just kind of always like he's brave because he's in love with Buffy, and you know what I mean. Like I don't know. I don't think brave is a thing that I think about with Xander. I think more stupid and like wanting to be like Buffy having hit. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cordy says what to him? I wrote it down because she said something about, this is what she's talking about, I think. She said something specifically about who she dates, and because Doyle saved her, right?
Right.
And so she says, I wrote it down here.
Something about loser, like I've been down the road with loser, and she lists
oh, here it is. So what was kind of funny because she says, so now I have to kill myself because I swore after dating Xander I'd never date a fixer-upper again.
Fixer-upper.
So that's really different than being brave, I would think. But I see what she's saying.
I'm not saying Xander is a coward, but I mean brave isn't a quality I would attach to him.
Right. I think I understand where she's coming from with that, for the simple fact that as much as I do dislike Xander, and we actually kind of touched on this in this week's episode too, Jeremy, is he's always been a really good friend to Buffy and particularly Willow. And I do think that he does have a tendency to rush into situations that are harmful to him in their defense.
Okay, you know what? You've kind of turned me around there a little bit, I think.
And he did some really sweet things for Cordy when she lost all her money, and he bought her the dress.
Yeah. And I'm gonna use a recent example here in Harsh Lighted Day when Buffy and Spike are fighting on the college campus. Xander rushes Spike, like was it stupid? Yeah. Was it stupidly brave? 100%.
Okay. I'll I'll asterisk it. I'll put an asterisk. He's brave, asterisk. Yeah.
She says, "I'm going to throw this out there and say Cordy has terrible choice in men."
Yeah.
This whole plot, wow, I find myself giving absolute zero fucks, not invested one iota. However, I do love how cavalier Mr. Angel is with all the info as well. We do not care much. LOL.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of a episode.
I believe she's referring to when Angel finally confronts Harry. That's her name, right?
Yes.
Harry and her fiance in the restaurant there.
The Hendersons is his name.
The Hendersons.
Richard.
Oh, that's right. And
Dick.
Harry and the Hendersons is a good movie, though. I mean, just sidebar.
Yeah.
I love Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh yeah.
When do you guys want to know any of my thoughts as we go along? Because we're kind of past some things that I was going to say, but I don't want to.
Oh no! As we're going, interrupt me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I do it all the time.
So I'll stop at the part where we're at now, which is basically the restaurant scene, and just fill in whatever you haven't gotten to say so far. Okay.
Okay. So in the beginning fight scene where Angel is helping the guy that saved that he and Doyle kind of saved, he's helping him down the hall, and he's kind of chastising Doyle for his willingness to use his full capabilities in a fight. He says to Doyle, which kind of is a little bit disgusting, he says, "This isn't a spelling bee. Nobody expects you to play fair." And my immediate thought went way back, and I said, exactly, Angel, just like you deciding to throw away the ring Buffy sent you because you didn't feel using it and its powers was fair.
Ooh, ouch.
Fucking
ouch.
It's literally what I thought, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a little bit hypocritical there.
Thank
you. Ouch.
I love Angel less, but it is kind
it stings.
of parallel there.
I said it in that episode. I went on a tirade about how fucking stupid that was.
I mean, you tell him he can't play fair. Nobody expects you to play fair, but then say, "I can't use this."
Here's an I win button.
It's not fair.
No.
Yeah, that
I
was kind of just
that.
it just kind of ran through my mind.
Yeah.
And the Francis thing, of course, was hilarious. Francis, that's his name.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. And I liked Richard. She hasn't mentioned Richard yet, but I kind of liked him. I thought he was funny and really endearing, and in a weird demonic way, I know, but he was played that way, I believe. And I kind of enjoyed him. His whole family was kind of funny, actually. If they're supposed to be this very traditional, Jean and the Cleavers kind of, and their demons and everything. So I thought it was pretty amusing how they wrote that. And Angel, when Richard came in to meet Angel, and he's like, "Oh, you're so handsome," blah blah blah, and then she says, this is Doyle," and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's more like it." It was hilarious. Insulting, but hilarious,
and not only insulting to Doyle, but kind of insulting to Harry too. Wait a minute, you didn't think that the woman you're about to marry could land this guy? Like, come on, dude. It's
kind of rough, man.
Yeah.
But as far as Harry goes, I don't know if it's Harriet, but I know they calls her Harry the whole time. But I really like this actress, and I really liked the character. I thought she played really well, especially considering some of the past ones like Tina, and even, I know this isn't a popular opinion, but Kate. I think she was a really good actress. I really liked who was playing her and the character in general. It was a likable character, I felt. Aside from little things, because in the beginning, it kind of they put forth this ease of assuming that she's done him wrong, Doyle, and then we eventually find out that's not how that played out at all. So I kind of liked that, and I liked how she stood up for him in the end, and I just really liked all of that.
Yeah.
So where did she end? I'm sorry. Where were we finishing on S-Dub's comment?
In the restaurant scene.
Okay, that's where
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. My other question was, if Richard's family owned this restaurant in the town, how did Harry and Doyle never run into each other? They've been apart for 4 years.
Yeah.
That seemed kind of odd to me, I
Well, I
guess.
feel like Doyle lives in Skid Row, and
Right.
Harry's
Yeah.
kind of
True. And
Harry.
he's always dodging his creditors and people he
Right,
owes
right.
money,
And he spends most of his time hiding in Angel Investigations. So
so that's
Right.
very likely. And then prior to that, I imagine was the same thing. Okay, so we're at the restaurant. Did she mention anything about Harry's shower? Because I had something kind of
no,
funny.
you go ahead and do your
Okay, so at Harry's shower, um, she says Doyle got his teaching credentials before they met, but then he said that they had met at 20 or earlier. And I'm like, the mathing doesn't add up there. So I kind of let
Yeah.
that kind of
can't
suspended
get
that.
you can't get a 2-year teaching degree.
No. Well, first of
I
all, you
don't.
have to get a degree in general, and then you specialize with your teaching credential, like a teacher specialization. So, and I don't know, maybe it was different then.
Hey,
It's just
maybe
not.
maybe the bar is really low in California.
Could
Yeah.
be too. That could be too. Everything's different there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the restaurant because I laughed so hard at the dotted line that they drew around Doyle's head. It was hilarious. So
Yep.
go ahead and see what Estep has to say there.
Okay, so I believe her next comments are in reference to a combination of the shower and restaurant scene. So she says, "Oh, first husband's brains? Cool. When do they start?" She really hates Doyle.
She wants
really
to
hates
help.
Doyle.
I don't know if it's Doyle or men in general. That was a pretty general statement.
True. All right, question. Mr. Angel's business is in investigative services, is it not? Generally speaking, so then why wouldn't he investigate the future Mr. Harry? Wouldn't this simple knowledge be easy to read in one of his books? Am I being too logical?
Maybe he just doesn't care. No,
Or
I
maybe
mean
he
honestly.
would have if Doyle asked him.
Yeah, if
Right.
Doyle had asked him to, I'm sure he would have, but he was probably like, listen, I don't know fucking Harry and the Hendersons, and I don't give a fuck about Richard Head over here, so
Doyle's life over here. So
yeah.
no,
Right.
I think I saw him as more of a friend in this position.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah, because Doyle was pretty much just like, hey, can you tail him and find out what his deal is?
Yeah.
You know, and that's what Angel did.
Yeah, see if he's weird. But she is.
She says that's okay in regards to Doyle's demon form. So she apparently didn't like Doyle's demon.
I kind of like the fucking spikes and shit, especially when he fucking headbutts that one guy.
It's very Pinhead. It's very Pinhead.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I kind of dig it.
Yeah. She says, never heard a truer statement, honestly. Who wants a wife whose knees only bend the one way?
Yeah.
I wrote the exact same thing. That was amazing. You're not going to hear that in many other places.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe Vietnam.
So her next couple of statements kind of wrap it up. So do you have anything else you want to in your notes that you wanted to address, Darlene?
Again, drawing the dotted line around Doyle's head was hilarious, and keeping it there was, I thought, pretty funny. Like that, we're going to use that as the line to use this enormous knife to just cut through his skull.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not the only one that was like, what the fuck? What are they going to slowly saw his shit open? You know, with a fucking it was like a butcher knife.
It was wild. The dotted line just is hilarious. Because what are they gonna do when they get around back? Are they just going for the front?
That's gonna take a hot minute. I'm just saying.
Exactly. When Harry comes in and she sees what's going on and she uses Richard's full name like a mother, it's hilarious. Richard, because I'm a mom, so I think it's funny. And everybody knows if your mom uses your full name, you're in shit.
You're fucked.
You're in trouble. That's right. So, I already said I liked the actress that played Harry and her character in general. And I also mentioned just what Estep said about who wants the wife whose knees only bend the one way.
Yeah.
And I did not see Doyle's vision in the end of the episode being about Buffy. I did not see that. Now,
Yeah.
this is Angel, so this is also S-Dub's first time watching it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
does she mention that before I
No,
give my...
but Sarah Michelle Gellar was clearly in the vision.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but I didn't see her even being an Angel ever. So I didn't see Doyle. That's
Okay.
what I didn't envision or see ahead that
That
Doyle
she
was
would
going to
be.
have a vision about Buffy.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah,
a
so that
surprise
was
to
my
you.
first inclination, like, what? What's
Oh,
happening?
it was
Okay.
to all of us too. The first when it
Oh yeah,
first.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, so what
because
happened here?
because obviously, like, since the show spun off, as a fan, like, you're like your whole thing is like, when are we gonna get to see Buffy and Angel together again?
Again,
Well,
ever. Is it ever
right.
gonna happen?
Right.
Right.
So then, yeah, Doyle has this vision at the end, and it's Buffy, and you're like, fucking yes.
They were foreshadowing because the picture fell out of the book earlier in the
Right.
episode, but I didn't put it together. I was really surprised by that.
Yeah.
Is this where she gives her little rating? And
Yeah.
how do you want to do that?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Give us
You're-
yours.
Okay. I gave this episode 3 dotted forehead lines prior to a ceremonial eating of an ex's brains. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I know it was silly, and I don't know about any. I can't even say it didn't have any foreshadowing in it because it did. Buffy at the very end. We're gonna have a crossover now. So
Yes, we are.
I liked the actress and the character of Harry. Cordy had some great Cordy-esque lines in this whole episode. Great Cordy lines. We got some insight into Doyle that we'd never had before, which I really liked because up to that point, it was really a very static character. And we saw Cordy considering that she may like Doyle in a romantic way. That's a first. And it sprang up at us the very end. It was a possible crossover from Buffy. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I definitely have seen worse. So
Oh yeah.
I was happy with giving it a 3, and I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
And the Buffy thing really made me happy.
Yeah.
She says, at least the next ep will be interesting, and I do know a tidbit or two about it, so probably no tears from me, LOL. This ep was extremely blah to me, 2 out of 5, and that's being generous.
Okay.
Fair.
So, yeah, I mean, everyone
Everyone
I
has.
thought it was
a-
a 3.
everyone
I
has
don't
their-
know.
right.
I can't
Yeah,
remember
everyone-
what you guys gave it. I thought it was a 3. I think Jeremy, did you give it a 2? I think you did.
Did I?
I think you did. Because I don't know. I don't remember. But regardless, let's go.
Yeah, I mean,
won't hold it up.
everyone's entitled to, their own thoughts and feelings about it. I honestly hope that at some point the show turns around for her and she sees.
You know
she
it will.
sees.
Dude. It gets too good.
Yeah,
You know it will.
I thought I will remember you, but like you said, she I guess she maybe doesn't seem like the type that
Doesn't
kind of
strike
thing
me as a
would hook her in.
touchy-feely,
No.
type.
So let's go through Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 4 episode 8 Pangs. And S-Dub says, this is one of my favorite episodes of the series. All right, I had 3/4 of the way done and then everything got erased. So here I go again.
Uh-oh.
Willow totally has a point. Willow totally has a point. But I love Thanksgiving food. Who says you can't have all or some of that non-turkey day? Be a rebel. And she's referring to Willow's diatribe about Thanksgiving in the cold open.
Right.
Anya, I get it, girl. I do, but it's creepy. Just stare at him instead. Oh, wait, let me be clear. I'm thinking about someone else, not Xander. Yeehaw, Buffy. Where's the Spurs at? What the fuck, wardrobe department? Just no. Good lord. Of course, Angel being Angel. It's always unfair, and it's always his way. Drives me insane. But fairness is a concept. So but fairness is a concept, so pretty much got to do with the best you got. Is anyone surprised Joyce chose to peace out on her daughter on a holiday?
Hello.
Buff wasn't invited, I guess. Honestly, what the fuck?
Remember me bringing that up? I was like, so not only is she leaving for Thanksgiving, Buffy's not even fucking invited. She's like, listen, honey,
I mentioned that. I brought that up too.
Going out of town for Thanksgiving, and you can also fuck off.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, thanks, Mom.
So I think that pretty much covers the cold open, Darlene. Did you have anything you want to throw in?
For the cold open, I just had that begins with the first cultural insensitivity and viewer discretion warning I think I've seen so far.
Yeah.
And then Angel in all capital letters, exclamation point, because we see Angel in the cold open.
We do.
And that I love Buffy's obvious.
He's just like,
right. Angel's just like, oh, Buffy.
and you're like, wow, this got really weird really fast.
Right. Well, maybe that's how you were. Maybe that's how you were like, this got really weird. But when I saw Angel doing that, I was like, oh, Angel. Oh, Angel.
He's not lying. He's not lying.
Oh, Angel. Oh, sorry.
He's not lying.
I'm not lying.
And the last thing I said about the cold open was that I love Buffy's obvious sense of feeling when Angel's near. That was easy to pick up for me, at least, at the very beginning.
He's like,
yeah,
is that Brute?
Is that Axe? Is that Axe body spray?
Is that Axe?
Yeah, that was something I liked in this episode too, and unfortunately, I forgot to mention it until we had started reviewing I Will Remember You. Is that they scatter that throughout this episode, just those moments where Buffy will just stop, like dead in her tracks, like physically has felt something, and it's always when Angel is around, and I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of.
I think it. Of course, it does.
I don't like feelings.
I know you don't like feelings. I liked it because it added another depth to like their relationship and the whole idea of, you know, star-crossed lovers and that kind of thing.
I mean, I did note that Buffy has Aunt Darlene.
Yeah, yes. So you heard on the podcast when I brought that up, right?
Wait, what was that? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Buffy has an Aunt Darlene.
Oh, yeah, we did bring that up.
That's where her mom is. When I said, you know,
right.
I did also say the same thing. Well, why wasn't Buffy invited to Thanksgiving there?
Right? It's like,
I thought Anya's dialogue.
Thanksgiving and you can eat
you can't come. You're on your own. I thought Anya's dialogue at the ceremonial breaking ground was pretty hilarious. I thought it was funny, and I thought it showed she really is into Xander. As opposed to earlier on, which was kind of just, I didn't know where that was going, but I really feel like she's into him. She's into him now. Yeah. And this is the other thing I wanted to mention about when we're talking about the underground facility being built under the campus and nobody knowing that. How did the Indigenous Mission Underground that Xander fell into go unnoticed by those building this enormous underground government facility beneath the campus?
Thank you.
Listen, we're just asking too many questions now, okay? We're just asking too many questions.
Okay.
Maybe, and I was just going to say too, maybe Buffy and Aunt Darlene have a huge fucking like hatred towards one another. There was a huge blow up.
So here's my theory. My theory is that Aunt Darlene is the same aunt that Joyce was going to call when Buffy got into the University of Illinois. Okay. And Aunt Darlene feels slighted that Buffy chose not to go to the University of Illinois, and
she's like, she's not invited to Thanksgiving.
Look, right, and with the way families are, it could be anything.
Right, and because Joyce is Joyce, she didn't stand up for her daughter and be like, "Well, if Buffy is not invited, then I will also not be attending." Instead,
no, Joyce was like, "Is there going to be rolls?"
Right. Joyce was like, "What are we? Are there good?" And And then Aunt Darlene was like, of course there's going to be rolls, Joyce. And then Joyce was like, but are they going to be brown and serve, or are they going to be like Grand's biscuits? And Aunt Darlene was like, they're going to be Grand's biscuits. And Joyce was like, hold on, let me leave Buffy a note. And then,
no, you missed the last question she asked her, which was, can I bring a John? And Aunt Darlene was like, a what? And she was like, okay, I'll see you there.
Right,
and she hangs up quickly. Yeah.
And she hung up. And then, Joyce didn't actually tell Buffy face to face, like, hey, I'm piecing out to Aunt Darlene's in Illinois for Thanksgiving. You're on your own. She's like scribbled something on like probably letterhead from her fucking gallery that takes up so much of her time.
She wrote it on the wall in Buffy's room in crayon.
was like going to Aunt Darlene's for Thanksgiving. You're not invited. Love, Mom.
Yeah.
Love
sorry,
Mom.
Sorry, you're not invited, loser. Love, Mom.
Right. There's $20 on the kitchen island. Get yourself a pizza. Get yourself a Thanksgiving pizza.
Remember when $20 could order you a pizza and have it delivered?
Oh yeah.
Not anymore.
Now you're lucky if you get away for under 30.
Yeah. And that's for one pizza.
Right.
That's feeding like one person.
Right.
Yep.
She goes on to say, I'm interested in these ear rituals. At 34, season 4 Giles hits very different. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Well, wait till you're 45 and you rewatch again and you see season 4 Giles and you're like, wow, he's in really good shape for his age.
Yeah. Wait until you're 42 and you look at season 4 Giles and you're like, where did I go wrong? Why do I look like this?
And then James is also like, he sees season 4 Giles and he's like, wow, I wonder what color his underwear are.
Right. Giles.
Or wait till you're 52 and you're like, do men actually mature?
And then we're all like, no.
He does too.
And then
great. Giles is great.
Well, Giles does. He's Giles.
Right. Giles is also fictional.
That's
fair too.
I like to pretend like Ash is really Giles in real life.
Yeah, I saw an episode of the Sarah Jane Adventures a couple weeks ago, and he was playing the headmaster at a school. And
I just saw a clip. I just saw a clip on YouTube of that show. I've never watched it because it's on Apple TV, which who the fuck has Apple TV?
I do, because I'm currently watching Monarch: Legacy of Monsters.
You would, James.
How are you not going to watch a fucking Godzilla TV show?
Because it's God fucking Zilla, and who cares?
Fuck you. No.
He's quitting.
Oh, go ahead, sis. Share us.
Wait for him to come back because I was going to tell him something.
I'm just saying. Who cares
James,
about
all my sons got together and went to see Godzilla in the theater last night. So.
Oh, Godzilla -1. I want to see that. I want to see it, but I'm gonna have to go see it by myself because the people I would normally
spoilers, but they said it's incredible.
Because the people I would normally go see that with were like, I don't want to have to read a movie, and I was like, well, you're culturally stunted, you pigs.
I feel that way.
I don't even know why I'm friends with you.
I've said that before myself. I'm like, I don't want to read a movie. I'm sorry.
Well, I already knew you were a culturally stunted pig, and I was unsure as to why we're friends.
Right. Yeah, sometimes I wonder, I'm like, how are we friends? And then other times I'm like, oh, it's the money. It's the money
that you pay me.
Yeah.
It's the only fans.
The only fans.
Right.
Where's you guys going?
Yeah.
She goes on to say, Doyle's vision didn't look that serious or dangerous to me. Not enough for Mr. Broody to go over there and creepily stalk Buffy. I'm going to go with lazy writing on that. They just needed something to connect for a crossover excuse. I personally would like them to exert a bit more creativity, but that's just me.
Well, if we're going with your thought of we don't necessarily see on screen exactly what
It's gross.
they are, then yeah, then there's no real telling what what he saw and yada yada.
Or we could
Right.
just simply go with the fact that Angel is in love with Buffy, and any danger that she's in, he's going to be wanting to know about.
Right. That's 100% my take on it.
Yeah.
But also, aside from the fact that, like, regardless of the level of danger, Angel is going to show up. But it's already been established over on Angel that the powers that be don't just send Doyle these visions for shits and giggles.
Like
Like
willy nilly. Yeah.
Right. Like, they're important. Like, these are situations that they want or need Angel to get involved in for some reason.
But let me ask you this really quick, because and I talked about this on the pod for the next episode, the next Buffy episode. And I think you agreed with me. We were like, was it really important for Angel to be there? Like, was the danger really that different than any of her normal day-to-day dangers?
I don't think it was important for this episode. I think it was important for the events of I Will Remember You.
Because the powers that be knew that it would lead to the events of I Will Remember You?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I can buy that.
And ultimately, I guess, since, no spoilers here, obviously, ultimately, since the events of I Will Remember You were effectively undone, I feel like the whole thing was a test.
That or a mind fuck.
I feel like it was a test for Angel to see if he truly was
I think it was
a worthy champion.
Yeah.
Well,
A mind fuck test.
All of it together.
Yeah.
Right. She goes on to say, can confirm 30 years in Nebraska and Iowa, and it's boring as fuck.
I can imagine.
I think she's referring to when I said that Iowa was boring.
And we've never been there, but it's like, it's got to be. It's
Right.
Iowa.
I think I said that. I think we're at the scene now where she's inviting Riley for Thanksgiving, and he's like, oh, no, I'm going back to Iowa.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, I don't know why, though, because Iowa's boring as fuck or something like that. So, Darlene, thoughts on everything up until that point, if you have any?
I have more of the initiative. Ugh. I think it's sweet and endearing how bumbling but caring Anya immediately, the mode she goes into immediately when she realizes that Xander is sick.
Sick, yeah.
It's humorous, but I think it's really sweet and endearing at the same time. And I asked, did the police not notice the missing Shumash knife from the case where the professor was killed? And
Hello. Not very good investigative skills there, Officer fucking Friendly.
Again, James, I know I'm asking questions.
But and also, we already know that the police in Sunnydale are either
very
inept or like in the know, like
in the know, and they're just kind of like, whoa, we don't want to be involved in this supernatural shit.
Hooey dooey stuff. Yeah, hooey.
But then a lot of that calls into question how much of that extended to after the mayor was dead, because obviously the mayor was pulling a shit ton of strings in Sunnydale, including police wise. Yeah. So
fair. That's very fair. I thought it was funny that Buffy's excuse for having Thanksgiving dinner at Giles's house is because you're the patriarch, otherwise it would all be meaningless.
Yeah.
Instead of the simple truth that she wanted him to clean it all up.
Right.
And I like how it's not this scene, but a little later on, she flips out because he doesn't have a ricer. And then he's like,
he doesn't even know what it is.
Right. And then he's like, well, do you have one? And she's like, I don't know what a ricer is.
Yeah. Well, I was with her. I was like, what the fuck's a ricer?
Ricer. Yeah.
Ricers are actually really good for making homemade mashed potatoes. Just toss them.
I just use a blender. No, I mean
Or hand mixer.
not a blender. I'm sorry.
Hand mixer.
Yeah, hand mixer, not a blender.
I am picturing Jeremy there with his NutriBullet, just like like blending potatoes.
One potato at a time.
One potato at a time. Jeremy, when are the potatoes going to be ready? About 3 hours.
And then it like break. You're like, fuck.
You can't get it out because it's stuck at the bottom of the NutriBullet. I have one.
Yes,
Stuck in there, like, getting the thing out. Oh, it's awful. But Giles does say, well, can't we just use an old potato masher?
Yeah.
Right.
Which that's kind of gross because they always come out all lumpy and
Yeah, it depends on how you like your mashed potatoes, I suppose. But
I like mine to be actually mashed.
yeah, that's what we're used to for sure. Yeah. And then let's see, truly what's unfair. Giles wants to tell Buffy Angel's back because he states truly that is unfair for Angel to be able to see her, but she can't see him, and I completely agree with that. I do. I could agree with that, and I think that comes out in the next episode, the crossover episode with Angel, where she actually speaks about that. Right? So I like that was brought up, and I like that Angel was taken up for her. I mean, Giles was taken up for her.
Right, and I like that. I'm gonna say I like that, and I think I mentioned it on the pod when we revisited this episode. I like that scene because it's very much, like Giles and Angel never really make a lot of eye contact in that scene. So my takeaway was very much that it's two people who very much care about Buffy. But are still having an issue, not necessarily an issue with each other, but because of things that transpired, there's still a tension between them.
Yeah, they're still uncomfortable.
The whole torturing thing for hours on end is that tends to put a wrinkle in a friendship.
I'll do it every time. Yeah, I think that'll probably do it every time.
Right. But I also feel like this scene lends credence to my headcanon theory that Giles was the one that Angel reached out to once he settled in LA. And that's how they knew where he was when they sent Oz to him.
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy it.
Yeah, that's true. This is where I mentioned the same thing that James did, which is that Buffy wants everything to be perfect, and I imagine holidays were the only perfect, peaceful memories from her childhood, and she's trying so hard to hold on to that. Confrontation and arguing is a clear trigger for her, and I can relate to that. So I really believe that that's what was going on there with her, and I think she hit that on the head. Exactly.
Thank you.
I thought it was hilarious. Everybody assuming Angel is evil again.
Yeah, everybody.
He's like, what? Why is
just because I'm here doesn't mean I'm fucking evil.
That was really cute dialogue. Loved Harmony. Talked about that. Loved the arguing between Giles and Willow about the history and the truth of the indigenous people. That was all really funny. There was so much good dialogue in this. It was such an entertaining episode all around. Yeah. So where are we stopping here with S-Dub so I don't overstep here?
So her next comment is you go Harmony, tell Blondie Bear not today, which you just touched on. So do you have more about that?
I just lost my thing. The thing that I said on it though was basically the same thing, was just that yay Harmony go. It sounded like she had been the therapy, but then Jeremy mentioned that she's been looking at that book. So reading that book, which I guess I completely missed. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I didn't have anything. Jeremy?
What's next with?
No, I was just gonna. I said, yeah. There's a book. It's either on her bed or off on that ledge of that. I think it's a dresser or whatever. But yeah, and it's open. It's laying flat down, and you're like, she's doing a little bit of self-help.
Okay, so that must be where that the terminology she was using was coming from. I thought the STD discussions with the sick Xander were hilarious. Especially,
he's like
in general.
syphilis.
In general, and then with Anya, who's just like completely deadpan about it. And then he says something about demons, and she's like, I didn't know you felt that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, then we have a relationship issue right here. But that was pretty funny.
It's like, but not you. You're different.
Right.
Listen, I'm not a racist, okay? But one of those.
You're not like all the other demons,
I
Anya.
have
Yeah.
demon friends.
Yeah. My best friend in second grade was a
This
demon.
was a
Okay.
demon. It's okay. I'm not racist. And then so I'm sorry. Tell me again. She's the harmony thing. So go ahead. I don't want to
Right,
step
and
on
then-
it.
and then she says, Native American spirits being a drama king. He's not wrong, but you can't say he doesn't have a bit of a flair for the dramatic. And believe me, I love it. So that was the scene where Buffy's getting ready to kill the Shumash warrior, and he's all like, your people destroyed my people, and now you're gonna kill their spirit, yada yada.
Right.
She says, the next thing she says is, you have to have roles. You have to. She says, Spike's commentary is always delightful and entertaining. While I don't ship our girl with either twats, I can still appreciate their characters in themselves without her character influence. Who the fuck has Brandy? Well, he is British. LOL, you guys can ride the flipping bicycles. This made me giggle too much for some reason. I'm sorry, but when I look at Angel, he just isn't fierce or formidable looking to me. Spike makes the last 5 minutes, I swear. And then she gives her ratings, which is 4 out of 5 Shumash knives. So if you want to go ahead and finish out your notes there, Darlene.
I just went on about how when Spike shows up, the interactions and dialogue are amazingly funny. The writing is just incredible. The deliverance of all of that dialogue is even more incredible. When the fight begins and every time the camera pans to Spike, he has a new arrow in him was
Yes.
killing me. It was so funny.
Yep.
Ending was Xander blurting out that Angel had been there, and Spike's look at Buffy was incrable. I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys catch that, because he's looking at him like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just got this shit-eating grin on his face.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and it was one of those scenes where this rewatching it this time, I paused it so that I could see everyone's look.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone's just kind of like trying not to make eye contact with Buffy in that moment. And meanwhile, you've got Spike who's just
he's like full on.
He's like dead eyeing her with that shit-eating grin. I was like, oh my god, dude.
And he's all tied up to the chair.
Yeah.
Right.
So that really makes
it was incredible. And I just said that I loved everything in capital letters about this episode. The writing, the hilarity, the social justice discussions, a likable Xander, Spike. It was just fantastic. And I give it 5 bowls of mushy peas. I loved it.
Awesome.
I love this episode.
Xander and his syphilis.
Xander and his gonorrhoepisyphilitis.
Yeah.
Exactly. I loved every bit of it.
Yeah,
So
I believe she gave it 4 out of 5 Shumash knives. I believe you and I, Jeremy, both gave it 5s, didn't we?
4 or 5, one or the other.
I know I gave it a 5.
Yeah.
All right.
You're very
here. We
easily
are. Fuck you.
I
Don't make
gave
me
it a
start.
5 because I can't imagine it being anything less. It was incredible. I loved everything about it.
It really is one of the episodes that encompasses everything that people that love Buffy love about Buffy. Like it's the writing, the acting, everything. And it's a filler ep, no less. Essentially,
I have an idea.
What's that?
Shut the fuck up and let's move on. No.
You know what?
Jeremy's got a hot date.
I'm
No,
gonna.
here's
You
my
know what?
idea.
You know what, Jeremy? You're fired. I'm gonna start doing the podcast with S Dub and Darlene.
Wow.
Here's my idea. We are going to jump into Angel Season 1, Episode 8, I Will Remember You.
Excellent. Excellent.
And we are going to let Darlene take the lead with her notes.
No, listen, here's my idea. I didn't get to tell my idea.
Because no one cares.
Wow.
I care.
How about we go backwards? How about give us your rating and then tell us all how give us all your notes.
Give me your rating. Okay. Remember, my notes are very short.
Oh,
all my other notes, but
well, start talking about them. You can probably think of more.
I can absolutely tell you my rating.
Okay.
Yeah, give us your rating and then go through your notes for I Will Remember You, and then we'll did S-dubs.
Six.
Thank you.
It's the first one I have ever given.
Yeah. I gave it a 6 too, didn't I? I believe I gave it a 6 too.
You did.
Did you?
You did.
Yeah.
What'd you give it, Jeremy? 5. Oh, I don't even know where to begin with this episode. And probably I can understand that if S-Dub and I are different in that kind of category, but I'm very, as Jeremy knows, I'm very emotional and romantic, sensitive, and I can pick up on all that stuff. And this episode was everything to me. And I'll tell you something else. I only watched it about 2 hours before we started recording.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I was crying.
Crying when I met you.
No, I mean,
James.
I'll just read what I wrote because it's pretty short. But the cold open, Cordy telling Doyle, "You have so much to learn, little Irish man," which is pretty funny. Yeah. I love Cordy lines. And immediately assuming Angel was going to stake himself after missing Buffy. They just immediately thought he was going to kill himself. Cordy telling Angel off for not letting Buffy know he'd been there. Yes, I absolutely would have done the same thing. I love seeing her show up because it also reminded me she's not in high school anymore. Right. It was the mature thing to do, to go and face him and tell him how she felt about that. I loved seeing it. It wasn't, over the top aggressive. They're just not over the top aggressive characters. So I didn't.
There should have been a karate fight. That's all I'm going to say.
And Cordy believed there totally was. That's exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
And that's why she left after the guy comes in. But I really loved that, and I loved that she arrived to confront Angel, and she was just very mature about it. But she was very matter of fact and told him exactly what she thought and how she felt about that. We saw in Pangs that Buffy felt Angel's presence again, and so I noticed that in Pangs. But then she mentioned it while she's telling him that, and that it is unfair to her for him to be there and for her to feel it, but for him to not let her know. That's very unfair. And I was really proud of her for telling him that. And then I put, Angel's alive! With exclamation points. I wasn't expecting that.
Legit alive.
I wasn't expecting that. So I was like,
none of us were either the first time this episode.
No.
The last thing I expected.
Because I remember when he goes, and you're like, what the fuck? He just took a breath. And then it's like, holy shit.
And then he had to actually say, I'm alive, for my brain to be like, oh my fucking God, he's alive.
Yeah.
But Jeremy, and obviously, I could maybe speak for everybody who watched it that first time, seeing as how that seems to be the reaction. But Jeremy is absolutely right that watching it live originally when it aired, it's like he takes that first breath and you're like, wait, and then you hear the fucking heartbeat and you're like, what the fuck? And then he's like, I'm alive, and you're like, holy shit!
Yeah, your brain is like, wait, and then it's like the confirmation of he has to say I'm alive for you to be like, oh, what?
Yeah.
And it was just complete. I stopped it. I had to stop it. I paused it because I had to take that all in. Because I was like, oh my fucking God, he's alive. And then, oh my fucking God, this is not going to go well.
Yeah,
I just knew it wasn't.
That's the other thing, and Jeremy can tell me if I'm wrong or not from what he remembers watching it originally. That's the other thing. You get that I'm alive, and you have that oh my God moment, and then immediately that elation
Bam!
just tanks because you're like, fuck, this isn't gonna end well.
Yeah. Well, not only that,
this is gonna be a hurtful, a really hard episode, but I'm totally watching it.
yeah.
So I paused. I was like, okay. And I went back and I was watching it. And of course I just wrote love, love, love. No thoughts, but love. Like I was just watching and just like taking this in and absorbing it. I didn't have a chance to be like pause.
Well, see, this is one of those rare episodes that doesn't need explanation or analysis. It's like you just take it in and be like, fuck.
And feel it. You have to, you're just feeling it.
Even somebody like me who's completely dead on the inside.
You're not completely dead on the inside.
I'm like,
he is. He's dead.
No, I really
am.
Dead
on the inside.
I've known him his whole life. He's not completely dead.
No, he's dead. He's dead.
However, I probably
a little bit
more sensitivity and all that stuff. I'm totally I do.
But oh my gosh. I'm just to interject real quick. Your lack of notes ties directly into something Jeremy and I said a few episodes back. It might even been about I Will Remember You or even Pangs, is that the podcast itself tends to be shorter when the episodes are like the really 5s or more, because it's just it almost, and it sounds weird.
Words.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it sounds it sounds so weird to say this for a podcast, but it almost, describing it doesn't do it justice. Like watching it has to stand on its own that way. So there's so little to actually talk about because it's so good.
Yes, you can't put it, and I can put shit into words, trust me.
Oh yeah.
But I couldn't put this into words, and if I had to tell somebody else about this episode, I would say, I can't tell you this. You have to watch this.
Jeremy,
can't tell you this.
In hindsight, that 100% should have been the podcast for that day. Like, we can't even talk about this. Just go watch it.
You have to watch it. That's right.
This is so something you must experience.
Go watch Angel. I Will Remember You.
I'm telling you, this is the shortest notes I have ever taken on this podcast. It's like, I don't know, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5 sentences long, if that tells you much. Okay. And the next sentence is Buffy and Angel in bed with her listening to his heartbeat, which was the only thing that I had question about. And that's because his heart is on the other side of his chest.
Yeah. She was. But hey, I wondered this though. Is it because of the way they filmed it? Doesn't that mirror shit?
I wondered it too, except that just the way that they were laying, and because I've been in that position before. And so when you're laying in that particular crook of the arm and it would be this. Her cheek would be this direction when it's on the left side where his heart is.
Okay.
And
James, when you looked like that, where was yours?
I always lay on the left side so I can hear the heartbeat.
Okay.
Yeah. The heartbeat is important. It's important.
It's important, but you don't, right? Because you don't want to wake up next to a dead dude.
No, you want
to. That's a thing for people who have feelings, right?
Yeah, that's a thing for people who have feelings.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that was literally the only little thing. And then the last of it was just that I was 2 and lots of O's into every capital letters moment of this episode to write and I don't currently have words to express all the reasons this episode is a full-on 6 out of this world acting in such heart-wrenching scenes. I 100% cried right along with her in that final scene. Oh my God. What acting ability. How could you not, even if you're dead inside, how could you not feel that, what she is emoting? I don't know.
Do you remember? Do you remember in the podcast, James, I said, even me, who's dead inside, I said I got a little verklipped, and I was just like,
oh my God.
Listen, I'm like, we've all listened to me on the podcast. I am unabashedly, like, I will admit in a heartbeat that scenes make me tear up or cry. And this is one of the episodes of several shows that every time I watch it, no matter how much I try and brace myself for what I know is coming, I still fucking cry. I can't help it.
See me watching it in the future and not having the same exact reaction, but my first time reaction was exactly what you're seeing. You can probably see how I feel just on my face and with my mannerisms and all that. It was, let me see, this is the last sentence. The final scene is he was telling her, and the time was running out.
and she's
oh
like,
my God,
oh,
wow.
yeah.
That's all I put was capital letters, wow, because she's saying at the very end, I won't forget, I'll never forget, I'll never forget, as the time's running out. And I'm just like, and she's just waterworks. And even the first time I think that maybe I'm wrong, but the first time I think I've ever seen David Boreanaz tear up in the scene with the two of them. And that just did me in.
And I loved how good the cut was from her final "I'll never forget" to his forget in the next scene when the time has gone back. And she's he's finishing her original sentence. So, if we stay apart and enough time passes, we'll be able to forget. It was such a perfect transition and a cut. It's the whole episode. And like I said, every time I watch it, I cry. I can't help it. I can't help it.
It was incredible.
Would I be wrong if I borrowed a phrase from the 90s and said this episode was all that and a bag of chips?
Chips.
Yeah. And a soda pop.
Oh.
And a soda pop. It was my first 6. And
I bet
wow.
I'm willing to bet right now $1,000 that this will not be your last 6 for Angel.
I'm looking forward to that. Forward to that. But there's no more words for me to say. I love this so much, and it was so incredible from open to end, and the acting was out of this world.
It's like if somebody asked you what it felt like to, I've never done it, but to like skydive, and you would have to just say, well, I can't, you just have to go do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been skydiving, and that's what I tell people when they're like, what was it like? I'm like, I can't describe it. You just have to go do it. You just have to go do it.
How many times did you bounce when you hit?
5.
5?
Yeah.
That's respectable.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty. I wasn't as big as I am now, so there wasn't.
It's not only respectable, it's respectable he lived to tell about it.
Well, he is immortal.
That's right.
Right, I have inside me blood of kings.
There we go.
Wait,
I have no rivals.
We're gonna end talking about I Will Remember You with potentially negative, I don't understand and don't get it comments from S-Dub.
Oh yeah, you got to finish S. You got to
Yeah. Let's dive into S-Dub's comments here. She says, "All right, you two, brace yourselves for this one, and I'm ready for the waterworks. He better not be over her. Do I ship Buffy with Angel? Hell no. But do I want Angel to love her forever? Yes. Is that so much to ask?
Well, he will.
No one gives a fuck about douchebag Doyle." She really hates Doyle.
Wow, she's gonna love this next episode.
Literally, Hero is gonna be the first episode
She'll
she
give
likes.
it a 6. She'll give it a 6.
She's gonna be like, "This is a fucking 6."
Yeah.
Hold on. What has happened since Angel left that has changed so much? You being in your host season? No, really, Buffy. Nothing has happened except Parker dumping and diving like the twat he is. Let's not give that pissant that much credit, please.
Hold up. Is she saying
Sure.
Buffy was in her whole Hope? Is it Hope?
Yeah.
Hope?
Yeah.
Okay.
Angel, you were just gonna let her walk out. I don't know what I expect for these two unrealistic standards. But I mean, what was he supposed to do? Like, she showed up, chastised him for like coming back to Sunnydale and not saying anything.
And he wasn't wrong.
And he was in the wrong, and they kind of like reconciled it a little bit. Like, of course he was just gonna let her walk away. Like, I don't.
And remember,
spin around and say,
"I'm sorry, Jeremy." I was just saying. Remember,
no.
only Angel remembers what happened in this episode.
Right. Well, I think she's referring to the opening there.
Gotcha.
Like after they had kind of reconciled his coming to Sunnydale, and she was getting ready to leave, and the Mora demon attacked for the first time.
Well, I mean, nothing had changed at that point, so I could see that.
Right. Why is Buffy having so much attitude? I know you're triggered, girl, but take it down just 2 notches. Keep the attitude. That's fine. Just tune it down.
I'm sorry, that makes me laugh because that is not attitude. I thought she was so way down here compared to where she could have been, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
He's alive, so the blood is rushing to everywhere. Wow.
Yeah, he like comes running up from the sewers, and he's eating all that food, and Doyle walks in and he's like, "Why are you so erect?
Why do you have such a raging hard-on? Jesus Christ!"
And he's like,
Angel?
"It's just a fucking it's just a Pop-Tart."
Right. Yeah. He's like, it's just a Pop-Tart. By the way, why are you eating a Pop-Tart? Oh my God.
And also, why are you staring at me, and why won't you look away?
Right. Also, please don't make direct eye contact me with that raging hard-on. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. Please look. If you're not going to look away, I'm going to look away. Cordy, why are you staring? She says, "Wow, guess what? I bet the Ring of Amara could give you time in the sun." Where did that pesky thing go again?
See, thanks.
You all just love to bust my balls about the Gem of Amara thing.
I mean, It's true.
Because it's fucking true, bro.
Angel, what do you mean you don't know what to do first? She's right there in LA on a platter. Holy fuck.
So he goes and eats a bunch of food.
Right. Cordy, you've been jealous. Angel can't get fucked with those. Angel can get fucked with those suggestions. Honestly, I can't believe we basically aren't watching soft porn at this point. There. Right. That's when they're down in his dope ass subterranean apartment, just having tea, and Angel's like, "We should wait." Blah blah blah. Oof. Yeah, I'm sorry. That is too cheesy for me. Angel's all, "Oops, I dripped ice cream all over my chiseled chesticles. You better look it up. Lick it up."
My chiseled chesticles. I too have often referred to men's chests as chesticles.
Yeah. I refer to mine as chiseled, but not chesticles.
Okay.
I can add that I don't believe he asked her to. She volunteered.
Right. She just volunteered to do that. All in all, I'm glad our girlie is happy. That's what matters most. But it never lasts, does it, in TV world? So Buffy had to wake up anyway. Okay, Angel, loving the ego. That's obviously referring to Angel not wanting to wake Buffy up to help go fight the Mora demon, and Buffy having to wake up anyway.
And go save his ass.
And go save his ass. Sarah's soap acting really coming in clutch here. Still no tears from me, but I can see how y'all are in your feels. To me, the last minute is the saddest, or really the last few seconds. That's when I felt something. It was unfinished, and now I feel differently about a future Buffy ep. You know the one. So that's cool. Best ep by far, and kept me engaged the whole time. Jesus Christ. 4 out of 5 crying Jameses.
Oh, shit.
James, you're just gonna have to find somebody who has some feelings, man.
You're gonna need somebody that
They're all
has
gonna make fun of you.
has a working heart. Hey, she went
least,
4, man.
At least she went 4, and at least Darlene cried. At least the episode made you cry.
You two cried.
I'm not completely
and
alone.
Me and Esther were like, sad.
You got choked up.
I got a little verklempt.
Yeah, so she gives it 4 out of 5 crying Jameses. I love how you both like to bust my balls in different ways. It's beautiful. I don't like how Jeremy busts my balls at all.
It's so easy.
Pisses me off, honestly.
Do you ever cut at the end of an episode?
Yeah, we've talked about this on the base of my
base of his penis.
Yeah. See, Darlene's listening.
So you have right now you have 60 some odd cuts.
If I cut any more, I may Lorena Bob it myself.
You're filleted. You're butterflied. You butterflied that motherfucker.
My only hope really is that I can keep recutting the existing wounds.
Oh God, that would be horrific.
So that I don't cut directly through my penis.
Wow.
I with the deepest love, never suggest you go into salt water.
Stay out.
Yeah, no, I can't swim in the ocean.
Don't even walk into it. At least penis level.
No, it's definitely freshwater vacations for me.
Right.
So,
okay, ladies and germs. That's like a little over 3 hour episode.
It was fun.
Be. I mean,
I had
the last one was pretty close to that, though. I think.
Yeah, it's about 3 hours. 3 hours is about what it takes for us to get through.
Yeah.
All I want to know is, Darlene, did you have a good time?
I had a great time.
I did too. It's fun.
I love spending time with you guys. I think it's great.
Yep, it was fun. I loved it. I can't wait to do it again.
And then thank you for asking me.
Apparently, it's going to be
volunteered, but still,
it's going to be you and S-Dub rotating. Apparently, so
apparently, yeah.
Couple months,
it's actually
seeing you again.
Cool because we're pretty different. If you think about it.
Yeah. She's like me. You're like
what? Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it tends to be that way. But also I'm a first time watcher and she's not. And so it's really it's nice dynamic, I think.
It is. James and I have talked about that's not only is it nice having the female perspective, but it's also nice having the perspective of someone who A has never watched and then B has watched one but not the other. And so it makes very interesting conversations, I think.
Yeah.
I do like S-Dub's takes from obviously I like different takes in general. But I do like her takes in the regards to she's watched all of Buffy, but she hasn't watched Angel.
Yeah.
So
that makes
it interesting. That's a different dynamic too.
Right.
Which is interesting because then we both haven't watched Angel. So we get different dynamics because we're just different people, I think, and see things differently. I'm quite a bit older.
So yeah, that's So that's interesting too to see as first time Angel watchers her take on it and your take, and how they're so far been pretty different. So
Yeah,
but
it's been fun though. Thanks, guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you reached out to us to do this. I'm glad to have you. It was nice to talk to you, like this for a
Nice to talk-
change.
I mostly enjoy talking to Jeremy. So
I only mostly enjoy talking to Jeremy too.
I
So.
love talking to Jeremy.
Well,
But it's
with all that in mind, thank you all for joining us this week for this listener extravaganza episode. Join us next week for a episode of the show. I don't know which one it might be. It will be another episode of the show.
That's all everyone wants. Just
Do you know which one it's going to be, James?
It'll be Buffy episode 10.
Uh-huh.
But I am blanking on the name right now.
Okay.
I think it'll be episode 10. Hold on.
Yes, 10 and 11. Yes, it will be episode 10. It will be Buffy episode 10. T to be announced.
I don't. I'm for the life of me, I can't. Hush! It's Hush. It's fucking Hush.
Yeah. Join us next week for Buffy season 4, episode 10, Hush.
Yes.
Which is pretty fucking phenomenal.
It's such a great episode.
Either of you have anything you'd like to say in closing?
I do not.
Thank you, and everybody be well and happy, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays, James.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Well, this will be dropping on Christmas.
It will be.
Won't it?
This is our Christmas present to our beloved.
Fans. We should have coordinated, Jeremy, and worn our onesies just for comfy Christmas.
We should have.
Feeling.
I have onesies. I would totally have done that.
I know.
Oh well. Next time.
Again, we suck at podcasting. So
hindsight is 20/20 with us.
With all that being said, I have been one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James.
I'm Darlene. Listeners.
Ta-da.
Bye.